getting into red, and then after that you saw, so what do they call the precumbral, whatever, all of those things.
It was like
on.
10 stages.
Yeah, many stages, but it was just phenomenal to see, and it was great because like the moon was out at about it was about what? It was about 5 o'clock, and it was really, really bright. It was just nice. It was nice to see then after.
I wish it was during the daytime.
It's not possible.
There was one that happened. What was it? There was an eclipse that happened.
The solar eclipse.
Yeah. Solar eclipse. They're so cool.
I know. It's dark, but then bright at the same time.
Yeah.
It was fantastic to see.
Yeah. So people are saying the world is coming to an end, actually.
It's not the first time that they've said it. The world has come. Look, didn't Nani say the world was coming to an end like in August or July?
Did he?
Yeah, he did. Didn't he say the world?
It was
like the 17th of July or something.
He wasn't misquoted.
He was misquoted. What did he say was going to happen? The world is coming to an end.
Well,
I think it was 17th of July.
Personally, I didn't hear him say that, but yeah, I read it online that, there was something around, the world is coming to an end. But this one, people actually, there are scriptures that actually talk about this,
Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Until all have heard the good news, and have had an opportunity to make a decision. No. And think about that. Until all have. Does it say all living or all? Because there's still those who are yet to be born. So what does that mean? That the earth will last forever.
All those who are alive.
All those who are alive.
Yeah.
Have all heard? You think all have heard? I don't know.
It says the sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into the blood before the coming of the great and awesome day of the Lord. Acts 2:20. It's there.
It is there, but it's not interesting enough. It's not the first time that the moon has turned to blood.
You know something? This is what I believe.
Here we go.
One day we shall have another one. They'll be like, we've had this before. So yeah. Then Gafla bin Vu.
We're not clear
of an eye. Voop, 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 voop.
And
you're with me in the studio. Me, I disappear. Yeah.
Oh, you didn't just say that.
Yes.
Have you seen the movie Left Behind?
Yes, I have. Yes. So in that gallery, Eve is left behind.
Eve is left behind.
Yeah. Those situations where only you alone are left behind, everybody else is gone, and you're like, what just happened?
What just happened?
Yeah. It's going to happen. I believe it's going to happen.
I do
someday.
too.
Yeah,
I do too. Uko salama lakini?
Niko salama sina neno. Yeah, the weekend was great. So you're trying to remember what happened over the weekend. So what happened yesterday? So Friday night, Saturday night.
I was in my house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Just confirming.
Yeah. I was just, reading, doing my puzzles, talking to my
on a Saturday
people around the world. Yeah. I attended a party in Abuja. Virtually. Look at you.
It was about
It was fantastic. Virtually. A very, very, very good friend of mine. So I attended that on Saturday.
You attended a virtual party?
Yeah. Ain't no party like an Abuja party, my dear.
And it's virtual?
Yes, so. Because I couldn't be there. So it was a full, thanks, Frank. It was a full blown on party. But, there was a virtual side of it. Ain't no party like an
So
Abuja.
you're just watching people having fun and enjoying themselves?
Yes, but then part of it, and then they call our friends, all our friends from all over the place doing things. Then we chip in like that.
So you're doing like a Zoom with so many other people from other parts of the world?
Exactly.
Trust Nigerians to do this.
It was no small thing, Joe.
And you enjoyed yourself?
Completely.
So they're catching drinks, you're catching your drinks on this other side?
I was drinking water.
Pina colada.
Mocktail.
Remove them. Put C. Okay, see you.
It was not bad. Here we are this morning. And while you were away, not when you were away, but as things were happening. And those things form the basis for our conversations. Good morning, everybody. Karibu sana. One Dennis Aseto is... we were just talking before the break about masomo. Masomo lazima tusome. Excuse me. So
September, anybody who's in school September is doing exams.
Yeah. So
my wife is also doing exams.
Yeah.
So
Aseto will be away for a couple as he gets his exams, under the belt. So all the best as you do that. So we'll see you in a couple of weeks. But in the meantime, we are holding forth, bro. And we'll have those conversations and get these issues front and center. Evie is a little bit stressed. After she's not even looking at me. But it's okay. We'll get into things this morning. And even as we do, Karibu Sana, let's tell you what we'll be talking about today. It is I don't even know what date it is.
Date. Today is 8th of September.
It's the 8th of September.
Yes,
All right.
it is.
It's the 8th of September, and this is the Situation Room. It's Kenya's biggest conversation. And as we get into a number of things today, Karibu Sana, as we do, we're going to have a conversation with you from 7 o'clock today. It just feels as though there's a lot of pent up. There's a lot of venting. There are issues that we're going to ask about, and we'll talk to you about those as we get into it at 7. We'll let you know some of those things as they get into it just around 6 o'clock. Sawa.
Mm-hmm.
Also, then at 8 o'clock, we'll get into a conversation with... We'll get into a conversation at 8 o'clock with Dr. Alutalala Mukwana. You know who that is?
Yes.
He's a commissioner of the IEBC, joins the recent coup. We're going to be talking about countdown to the elections. Whether you like it or not, there is a countdown to the elections. Whether you're talking about by-elections or whether you're talking about the big one that comes in 2027. But by-elections are on the card. Temperatures are already starting to do the thing. He'll join us and we'll be talking about testing the new IEBC. Is a litmus test for the IEBC through these by-elections, looking at what's going to be happening in about a year and a half. So we'll talk with Dr. Mukwana at 8 o'clock. Now, there was a very sad story of a young lady. Her name is Faith Bin Zali. She died while giving birth last week. We don't know the circumstances under which this happened, but we saw the aftermath of this in terms of the pictures, and it was absolutely terrible. You read that story during the bulletin Wednesday night, and Thursday morning you told us about how it was just a horrible after effect.
Yep.
Her father is Bernard Atsenga-Babu. He's going to join us at 9 o'clock to hear what exactly happened with his daughter, and are we looking at a bigger issue here when we're talking about healthcare in the country. The healthcare conversation is front and center. It's going to be part of our conversation at 9 today. So those are the things that we're going to look at. Karibu Nisana. And even as we do, today you're sharing the proverb with us.
Oh, yes. All right. So, today we're going north. Oh, well, last week you were north, yes.
Yeah,
Morocco.
last week we were north, yes.
We're still north, facing north. So the proverb this week is coming from one of the ancient civilizations. Your guess is as good as mine. It's Egypt.
Egypt, I love that country.
Yes. So we are going to Egypt, which is one of the world's oldest civilization, dating back over 5,000 years plus. And so you're ready for the proverb?
Yes, sir.
So we'll go straight to the proverb. And he who digs a pit for his brother will fall into it. Interesting that there's a Bible character that was actually sold as a slave. But before being sold as a slave, he was thrown into a pit.
He was stored in a pit, literally.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so you know the whole story and how it ended up in Egypt anyway. So no wonder we have this proverb. So he who digs a pit for his brother will fall into it. If none of our listeners ever went to, for those who are Christian, Sunday school, it's a very, very famous story.
It is.
This is an easy one.
Yeah.
What's your interpretation?
Well, I mean, you can't expect to hold somebody down and not be down. I mean, you gotta have. It takes effort to put somebody else down.
Yeah.
And there's a part of you that is going to have to remain down when you're keeping somebody down. Whether you choose to be nasty, there's a part to somebody. There's a part of you that is nasty. Whether you choose to step on somebody, there's something that's keeping you down or keeping you in that place whereby you keep another person down. So we can never ever imagine that you causing any kind of harm or discomfort to anybody else, that it's going to escape you. It's why I think about it and I compare it to, like, in hospitals, medical staff, nurses, doctors, clinical officers wear gloves.
Yeah.
Because you cannot be in the presence of disease and expect that it will not touch you in one way or another. So you protect yourself. But you cannot be the one deliberately doing that because it will not escape you.
That's very interesting. You've given us an example of a hospital. and how you need to protect yourself, because if then you don't, you're going to catch it. You know, I think for me it's a reflection of the cycle of consequences. You know, as we say, the people say karma. Yep. Is a
is that thing?
Yeah.
Is a dog's mother?
Yes. So there's a way you treat somebody badly, it's going to come bite you at some point. So it carries layers and layers of wisdom for me. And if you borrow the story of Joseph and what happened to him and the brothers, they ended up coming to him. They couldn't even recognize who he was, but that was actually his springboard to becoming prime minister in Egypt, actually.
And ended up saving his brothers later.
Yeah, and saving his nation. So when you try to create a trap for somebody else, enslavement, or you try to sell somebody off, and this can actually even be in the office or even at home in the family, the reference is into everyday life. Yep. Like if you try to just bring somebody down maliciously, you're just trying to dig a hole for somebody to fall into. You're trying to entrap somebody. You're trying to put roadblocks for somebody who wants to be successful. And it could be somebody who is rising, and the God of this person has decided to shine his light on this person, and you're trying to cover to bring darkness. You can't beat the God of the person. You can't beat the rising up of anybody, you know. And so therefore, whatever it is you mean for evil will turn around for good.
Man.
I can go on and on and on and on.
Wait. You're talking to me, brother.
Yeah, you know.
You're talking to me. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Yeah.
There's so much truth in that. And it's an opportunity for all of us, I think. And everybody is online this morning. We can see you getting into it, even as we just, soak in the words of that proverb this morning. That, when you want to set a trap for somebody, be careful that it's not around your ankles at the same time. So good morning, guys. And as you get into the room today, always glad to have, always glad to have you here. As we have these conversations, very necessary for us to do. It is Monday, and even as we get into it, it's always great that you join us today in the manner in which you do. Sawa. Duke is here. Good morning, and says, good morning, countrymen. All right. Engineer Fighter Karaoke. Spice team, welcome back. I know it was a couple of days of not being here. The administration talks a good game, but nothing to show for it. What is it? Yeah, I know. We're just looking at the minute borrowing, isn't it? And the member of parliament for Kiharo constituency in Nyoro, had something to say a couple of days ago, and he came to borrowing at 2.29 million shillings per minute. I know. Kennedy Ongwai says, good morning, tuned in from around Nairobi. Good to have you here. Good morning, kings and queens. Leo ni ile siku. Signal imefanya ile kitu. Kitengela iko locked. Tuko usijali. R says, mpo, we are here. EVE. Working her magic to get things happening, so we're glad that has all come together. Robert Tobago is tuning from Mombasa. Isaac Kali says, good morning, SpiceFM. Unlike politicians, you actually deliver on promises, spicing up our day without needing a manifesto. May I want to have coffee with you, Isa, just to understand how your brain works. Mama J, good morning. It's been a minute. Where have you been? Wow, you say a brutal piece by the Standard on Faith of the Ambo. Sad ending to a stellar career. Well, I don't know that I don't think her career is over. I think, look, guys, I think that Faith of the Ambo is a brilliant woman. I do.
Yes, she is.
I think she's a brilliant woman. I think she is an intelligent woman. I think that you saw a face of justice and a legal practice that perhaps we didn't see before. And it's like this blood moon. You see it you'll see people like that every now and then, once in a while. Yeah. And it's phenomenal to watch in the time that it's there. I don't think it's over. And I'm going to keep it like that for now. I'm saying something. Boaz Nalian, I don't want to butcher your name, sorry. From Kitale, don't add 1 year today. Good morning to you. Happy birthday, Boaz. And may you have many, many, many more. I'm trying to sing if I can. My voice is trying to do the thing this morning. Shindwe. Carol Nyambura, well, a very happy birthday to you, Boaz. May you have many more, and may the wind forever be at your back, and may the best of your todays be the worst of your tomorrows. Yeah. Leo says, good morning. Hello, Princess. Good morning to you. Dennis Anaseto is here in spirit. Did money kill humanity, or money exposed an already dead humanity? It's a question, isn't it? Carol Nyambura Natupenda Sana. Pan-African Kenyan is tuning from Nairobi. Shaq Bet says, hi SpiceFM. Desmond Otis says, hi everyone. Did you see the blood moon or your eyes never allowed you? My eyes allowed me. I don't know what you mean, but my eyes definitely allowed me. Tumebarikiwa na mvua. Yes, the rain is coming, guys. You can feel it. And you can also, this is interesting, you know what? Because you can actually feel the seasons change. You can feel it. You can see things that will change the seasons.
Yep.
And now we have longer days, if you've noticed. Longer nights, I beg your pardon, and shorter days.
Yes.
I don't know if you've noticed.
Yes, I have.
Yeah. Jimmy Gakio says, good morning, Ndu and Deno. Good morning. Nabel Bariada says, good morning, my lovely people. Hope you have an amazing week. This is Miss Inara. Miss Inara, are you tuned in every day? Because we see those names that are different. It's good to have you in the room. Dr. Venvik is here. Vesh Musanga tuned in this morning from Katima in Namibia. Okay. Thomas Omosa says, the availability of an individual is determined by the time spent by the same individual. Okay. Tibbs Muge says, good morning, SpiceFM. Good morning to you. David Mangera says, good morning as well. Assalamu alaikum. Indeed. Good morning to you. Christina A, good morning to you, sister. Christina, I think it's interesting that every now and then you share a little bit of your experiences and how life, was difficult here and there. Sometimes we don't grab on that, but thanks for always doing that. And you say, can you take SpiceFM mic to Masai and let them tell us their own story on carbon credit? It's a big story. I'm looking and pointing at Dennis. He knows why.
Yes, I
Imagine being paid 200 shillings a year on your own land and more stories. Youth are not falling for it. There's a big story there, actually. Nyakundi Emmanuel says, good morning. Hope the week will be better. Indeed. Forever we remain in love with Kenya. That's good. Daniel Andama says, good morning, Njeri and Okari. Thika Road is fine. Can we address the issue of border burning vehicles? That's a story we're going to look at this week, actually. And we're actually compiling quite a number around that. We'll let you know. Mbaga Joshua, because it's a big deal. Burning down vehicles. You have an accident, burn down the vehicle. Almost lynch people, torch them. What's going on? Mbaga Joshua. The anger is unprecedented levels. It's crazy.
Let me tell you, if you drive on Kenyan roads, the things you'll see will test your faith. Will test your character. Because at every turning, you will find there's somebody who's just upset. Either it's the person driving next to you or it's the person crossing the road. People are just stressed.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of dis-ease.
Yeah,
a major amount of dis-ease.
Something small will tick everybody off,
and you just go crazy.
Yeah,
Wycliffe has announced himself. Madahana says, good morning. Baga Joshua was tuning from Dubai. Yeah, Daniel, don't worry. We're going to look into that story. Amos Kimotai says, good morning. Can we take a break on politics and talk about Harambee Stars and how they're useless without money? Ooh-wee. I must whine now. Did you see that match that was played against?
I didn't watch, but yes, I heard the sentiments.
Yeah. And so people are saying, you see?
There's no incentive.
So we're not going to
passion.
Play. Come on.
The other counter argument is when you have 8 new players in a team, because the other youthful team had gelled very, very well, then you bring in different people, reorganize everything else. It's bound to be chaotic.
We're going to talk a little bit about that come 7 o'clock because it's a big issue for a lot of people. So because we're saying you rose the name of the nation high at some point because there was money. Then now with World Cup qualifiers, what's going on? Okay. Sawa basi. We'll talk about it a little bit when we get into that conversation at 7 o'clock. Good morning, Ndru and Dennis following from Kisumu. Good day. Good morning, Calvus Omondi. Mtuflani, good morning. Spice family. Dennis and Ndru ulienda Rema ukaona Commander. I saw Commander on TV, bwana. I didn't go to Rema, by the way, but I saw another thing that we're going to talk about at 7. The Rema Fest brought together hundreds of thousands of people.
Yes, it did.
Over this past 5 days. There were people who came in from other countries. There was quite a large contingent from Nigeria, from other African countries as well. And people were saying, you see, Kenyans are still bound in the shackles of religion. If the nation is still bound by this, instead of us to act, we are praying. We'll talk about it at 7. It was a big deal. I'm sure you saw some of the stuff that was coming on online. Wagwan SpiceFM, big up yourself. Good morning to you, Kimathi McConnell. Ricky Kinyanjo, he says, good morning from my Matthew. Hussein Calvin is tuning in this morning and says, can we borrow, how much we borrow per minute, explain the reason for grand corruption. Yeah, okay. Thomas Omosa, we see you. Good morning. The lunar eclipse was the best thing I've ever seen. It was great to see, wasn't it? Good morning, says Angela Githieki. Good morning to you. Mali Kotier says, good morning from Eldoret. We have been having rains for the last 3 months, almost daily. This is good. But when you guys below the equator will have rains here, we'll be harvesting. Okay, sawa. Good morning, Dennis and Indutun from Eldoret, says Charles Oduor. Atieno, blessed weeks, my peeps. Tune in from Siaya. Good morning to you and great to have you in the room this morning. Everybody is here and tuned in. So maybe there's a little bit of that voice. Boaz, happy birthday to you. Have a wonderful day. Let's get into it this morning, shall we, guys? Looking into the headlines. What's making the news? Let's start on the front page of Kenya's bold newspaper, The Standard.
What?
Let me clear my throat. Debt horror. Since President William Ruto took over, the country has been borrowing a troubling 2.29 million shillings per minute. That's 137.5 million shillings per hour and 3.3 billion shillings per day. Since August 9th. As he marks 3 years in office this week. I remember, so September 9th is the day he raised the Bible, Abi. Ruto has so far borrowed 3.5 trillion shillings. Horrified economists now warn the rising debt lacks practical value for the country. Besides, a look into the president's promises reveals chivalrous absurdity, from planting 15 billion trees to building stadia that can host the EPL, with the debt curbing promise falling flat 3 years down the line. By these 15 billion trees, have we finished?
Not very sure.
Okay. Ndinde Nyoro, who is the Member of Parliament from Kihara constituency, he's also the former Budget Committee chairperson. He said the government, and I quote, has borrowed 3.5 trillion shillings in the last 3 years, which translates to 3.3 billion shillings a day. President Kibaki did a lot of development, yet he borrowed only 1.2 trillion in 10 years. Where is the 1.2 trillion we are borrowing every year going? Ask the question, where is it going? And that makes the headline on the Standard this morning. Defiant Moi era minister dies. Unfortunately, we did hear the death of former Rongo Member of Parliament Dalma Sotieno. Leaders have shared condolence messages describing him as a visionary leader and astute businessman who served his country with unrivaled commitment. Otieno belonged among few politicians from the Luo Nyanza region who defied the region's political godfather Jaramogi Oginga Odinga in the late 80s and remained relevant until, indeed, his death. We'll look at a few details. May he rest in peace. And it was sad to see him go. It was also his son that unfortunately died in the freak accident in the States when he was walking on the side of the road and knocked by a helicopter that was going to crash. Dalma Sotieno's son, years ago, died in a freak accident. Yes. Terrible thing that happened to him. Tragic. It was really a definition of a freak accident. And this was in the States. Okay, looking at other county officials face EACC in 22 million shilling legal fees probe. This was just after Nakuru Governor Susan Kihika was grilled by the Senate over alleged irregular payments of 22 million. EACC is going for the jugular. And this is on the recommendation of the Accounts Committee chair, which is Senator Kajwang. He said, you know what? We're going to have to call EACC into this thing because it doesn't make sense. So questions are being asked. President's grandiose promises biting more than he can chew, or is it a strategic deception? That's one of the stories making headlines. Again, something else we'll discuss with you. Public debt piles up to 12 trillion shillings and counting, but with little to show. All right. So we're also told that capitation is doing a thing. Mm-hmm. End of 50-30-20. Inside plan to change school capitation model. So we know that in the first term, 50% of capitation is given, or supposed to be given. 30% is given in term 2, and then 20% is given in term 3. According to the ministry, this might change. And also why 1,000 schools now risk closure. Look into the details of that. It's just interesting. Coming over to you, Dennis.
There's a lot happening. A lot happened over the weekend, so a bit of catching up. So, the Daily Nation, today's front page headline, Inside State House Police Hiring Drama. President Ruto in a marathon meeting with police bosses that ran past midnight on Friday demanded an end to tough wars that have stalled the recruitment of 10,000 police officers. The National Police Service Commissioner faces a defining week in the high-stakes standoff. So this week is going to be interesting because there's a feud. Civilian commissioners and police chiefs are clashing over recruitment. And we all know why. But I'll get into the details of that story that's on page 4 and page 5. Still on the front page of the Daily Nation, priestess linked to Kwa-Binzaro cult. I was reading this story, and it was almost like reading a thriller novel. Who did you ever read? Not Daniel Steele. I'm trying James Patterson. This is James Patterson. There's another name I'm trying to remember. They're so good in their writing. You're sucked into the story. You see yourself in the story. And I was reading the story of this priestess who's 30 years old, and it's incredible. There was nothing unusual about a 30-year-old Charlene Anindo Temba apart from the steady stream of visitors to our rented house in Kaweni village in Kilifi. Detectives are now claiming that behind those walls, something sinister was unfolding, and it had everything to do with the bodies being exhumed at Kwa-Binzaro, reviving memories of the Shakahola massacre. Wait until you read the details. Still, the front page, 98% of schools submit data in efforts to curb capitation fraud. Dalmas Otieno cabinet stint and failed political whirlwind. Story of Dalmas Otieno's nation mourns a statesman. Now, most helmets sold locally are unsafe. That's according to study. And the helmets, we're talking about millions of Kenyan riders and passengers who are wearing helmets that look protective in nature but crumble in the event of a crash. So a recent global study has found that none of the helmets commonly sold locally passed even the most basic safety tests. You know, I've seen these things on TikTok videos where somebody will talk about safety of different things. So they'll take this helmet, they will hit it with a hammer, like serious hammer, like different sizes and weights. And you'll find there's a helmet, you just hit it, just a slight hit.
It's cracked like an egg.
The thing cracks. Then there's one that you hit with a heavy hammer. There is nothing. So, over 2.4 million border borders in operation in Kenya are continuing to struggle with alarmingly low helmet use. So, a recent study by the National Helmet Wearing Coalition. Did you know
there is a National Helmet Wearing Coalition? Oh, Lord have mercy.
So, in their study, they found that while 63% of motorcycle riders wear helmets, only 15% of passengers do. This obviously is despite the National Transport Safety. You know, essentially, when you take a border, you're supposed to wear a helmet. You know that, And a reflector jacket. You should.
Yeah.
But, well, nobody follows those kind of rules anymore. But, irregardless, that thing is not safe anyway. That thing the guy is wearing, ukigonga tu kuta hivi, kuisha. State House meeting fails to unlock police hiring deadlock. So President Ruto met with the top police bosses in Mombasa to discuss the delayed recruitment of 10,000 officers. 2 meetings called to resolve the impasse on the planned recruitment of 10,000 police officers have failed to bear fruit, even as President William Ruto directed speedy resolution of the dispute. That's how you know this thing is crazy. So the first meeting with the president was held at State House in Mombasa on Friday and was attended by Inspector General of Police Douglas Kanja, and one of his deputies, Eliud Lagat, was there also.
Okay.
A full meeting of the National Police Service Commission and PSC that followed the State House talks also failed to break the deadlock after crisis talks at the Kenya School of Government in Mombasa. Now, a technical committee comprising of police bosses and officials from the National Police Service Commission has been constituted to look into the technical issues that have derailed the rollout of the police recruitment. Initially, the government had planned to recruit the new police officers by the first week of this month. and admit the successful candidates to the police college for training by October 1st. But a disagreement between the civilian commissioners of the National Police Service Commission and the uniformed ones, led by Mr. Kanja and his 2 deputies, has derailed the exercise. You remember there was the question of salaries, eh?
Yes.
There's the question of now recruitment.
The payroll that they say that they should be handed over to the commission, and it's headed by Douglas Kanja.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. To politics now, Uhuru considers handing over Jubilee to Matiang'i.
Considers?
I thought
it was already done.
Yeah. So, party officials have stated they would want Matiang'i to be the flag bearer of Jubilee in 2027. And that's why you keep hearing Rigiji talking about this oneness in opposition. Kuna maneno huko ndani. Now, this story, the inside life of the priestess linked to the new Kilifi cult, like I told you, reads like a thriller. Now, in the house of this 30-year-old lady, detectives say they found several documents considered vital to the ongoing investigation, including a purchase receipt, listen to this, for a motorcycle and a land sale agreement showing she bought 5 acres for 20,000 shillings, of which she paid 10,000 as down payment. This is expected to link her to the ownership of the homestead in Kwa-Binzaro.
Sorry.
How many acres?
20.
No.
5 acres for 20,000.
For 20,000. You know, land is very, very cheap there.
Yeah, I know, but that
very,
cheap,
very, very
though?
deep. Yes, it can get. Well, it's not even a question of the value. What happens is, and true story, when I was working in Mombasa, I went to, this was not Kilifi, this was towards Kwale, very deep inside Kwale. So I was going to cover a story. So, to cut a long story short, I do my interviews, and then when I'm about to leave, there is this old man who follows me as we're going to the car, and he says, "Look," he was very drunk, and was like, "Look, you see poverty, you smell poverty, you
can almost taste it.
It's so degrading. You see it." So the man follows me and says, "You know what? If you guys are interested, I can give you this land." And I said, "What do you mean? You can, like, for free?" He said, "No, you tell me how much money you can give me, and then I'll give you. Economy Nazi, it has all these things." The dude was willing to sell for 5,000. Like, I can't remember the size, but he was willing to give it away.
Wow.
It's not talking to anybody else. It's him saying, "This is my property, this is my land. So what I'm going to do is, if you have money," and I knew if I'd given him that 5,000, I would have taken the land. So it's so think of poverty when you're listening to this story.
Okay.
So 20,000, she put a down payment of 10,000. So they also found a national identification card belonging to Miss Lillian Akinyi, wife of Mr. Jarius Otieno. The couple from Siaya County with 6 children, whereabouts remains unknown, and is among the 11 suspects in police custody. Now, police are saying that preliminary investigations have shown that Jairus went to Kwa-Binzaro in July this year. He was secluded after he refused to participate in anything, including burying bodies. Now, after the death of their 6th child, mtoto wangapi? Wa sita. You've lost 5.
Yeah.
Now you're on your 6th child who's dying, who has died actually. His wife started questioning the beliefs. Now, this led him to secretly borrow a mobile phone from a nearby village, which he used to call for help unearthing the cult. This is how the story started breaking out. Now, according to a detective, the neighbors in Malindi did not suspect anything unusual because Miss Temba's activities, this 30-year-old girl, were carefully concealed, and the visitors appeared like ordinary families. She used to bring in a few people who came in as a family, in some cases a husband and a wife and their children, and this is something normal with friendship of families. That's what the detectives are saying. Now, this was not a case where people would gather and start praying together and screaming and shouting, and drawing attention. They stayed there as normal family members. One family comes in, then another family comes in, and everybody thinks they're actually visiting a family or a relative inside the village. So Charlene's neighbors did not hear that much. She was not social, said an officer. Detectives suspect that a man who frequented Miss Temba's house is among those who worked with Mackenzie.
Ooh, there you go.
See the connection? They are also investigating claims that she frequently secretly visited Mackenzie and other Shakahola suspects held at the Shimolatewa in Mombasa County. Didn't we say, or rather, didn't Mackenzie tell us, Kitaturamba? Mm-hmm. And I remember the first and the second week when he was being moved from one police post to another, police officers would actually say, when you speak to Mackenzie, he was almost convincing the prison guards. When you listen to him, that's the power he holds on you. So he was talking to them.
He has charisma.
Yes, he has charisma.
Yeah.
But the charisma is backed up by dark powers, of
Apparently.
course. So even the police officers who were holding him were afraid of him because you give the guy 5 minutes, he will turn you.
He'll turn you.
And the guy is still in prison, but look.
He's turning people outside.
He's turning people outside. There is this 30-year-old priestess, Shalina Nindo Temba.
Okay, hang on a minute. It's been confirmed, I need you to look at that last part.
Yes.
It has been confirmed that she was in communication with Mackenzie.
She frequently visited
him
Mackenzie
at Shimolatewa
and other Shakahola suspects in prison, yes. She was visiting Mackenzie in Shimolatewa.
Now, what is she doing in Kwa-Binzaro? What was she doing in Kwa-Binzaro?
She purchased land.
That's it for now.
Question is, remember I told you about the poverty levels around those areas? Mm-hmm. So you look at her picture, you just look at her. You look at her picture on the front page. Where will she get 10,000 to put as a down payment? First, where does a 30-year-old girl go to look for how to purchase land? You're buying 5 acres. Do you know what 5 acres means?
Boss.
So 5 acres ni ya kulima, ni ya nini. Then, the negotiation, so 20,000, put a 10,000 shilling deposit. Where did she get 10,000?
In the first place.
In the first place.
And I was coming from the backdrop of the poverty that we're talking about.
Yes.
There's something sinister that's unfolding here. Kwa-Binzaro is already touted, is possible to be just as large, if not larger, than Shakahola.
Yeah.
And that it is going, there's a connection between the two. So Shakahola, and people are calling this Shakahola too.
Yes.
However, this is Kwa-Binzaro. This is the one. And that there seems to be a connection between 1 and 2. And you know what? That unfortunately, we've not even gotten to the stage whereby the 440 plus who are already identified as individuals who lost their lives, this is not part of the initial list of 637 that was on the Shakahola list. No. This is a totally different list. I believe the number that we're looking at now and so far is 39. And likely,
last checked was 39.
Last checked was 39 and likely rising. We don't know how many more.
You know,
but it cannot be. You know how you walk into your house and there are things that are just normal. You walk into your house and you almost know that you're going to hang your keys here. You could close your eyes and do it. You know that you're going to hang your jacket here. You know that this is where the water is. You know, it cannot be that part of the existence of people is going to be something like this, that we're going to say, oh yeah, well, you know, those cults where people turn up dead is now becoming a normal thing. It cannot be normal. It cannot be something that is accepted. People cannot die in this manner and you say, oh, well, yeah, it's a thing that happens. No.
It's not. I mean, for Jairus Otieno, for his wife to say, my husband, look, there's something wrong here. This is after you've lost your first child, nothing happens. You don't see there's anything wrong. You lose your second child, nothing happens. Your third child, there is nothing. Fourth child, nothing. Fifth child, nothing. Now, the sixth child, you're like, wait a minute. There's something wrong here. Before you went to look for a mobile phone. Now, look at what happened with Mackenzie Shakahola. Very, very charismatic. He was actually preaching publicly. There are audio tapes that you can actually go and view. He owned a station, a TV station. So he's an intelligent man.
Yes, and it's not just a by the way kind of thing. It's planned, it's deliberate, it's intentional.
Exactly. So if you're to piece this story together, so you look at Mackenzie, this is a grown man, has a family, knows what he's doing, and very charismatic. And look at the modus operandi. Now look at the person now who was recruited, a younger person, This time not a man. This is a young lady. And you're not preaching. You're just secluding yourself. So these people were behind walls of rented houses. So how does this 30-year-old girl put a deposit of 10,000 to buy 5 acres of 20,000 shillings, but still is able to stay behind a rented house? These families that are visiting her are also coming to stay in those rented houses. Who's paying the rent? And at the center of it all, inside these 2 big houses, the followers of this cult, drawn from different parts of the country, are indoctrinated quietly. There is no preaching, there is no shouting, that even the neighbors could not suspect. People are seeing people streaming in and they're thinking, ni familiar too, ni familiar. Yet, one by one, people are dying.
I'm telling you. There's something, it's strange, and it's of criminal nature. But you know what we're doing? Because it seems that it has a more subjective tint on life, then we're not taking it seriously. It is serious.
Yeah.
It is serious. People are dying. People are dying in the name of religion, and not in a good way. We're not talking about martyrdom. We're talking about criminality. Hey, man, I don't know.
This is just a quarter of the whole story.
It's nothing.
You read this story, you're thinking, oh my goodness, how did this, and you look, and Mackenzie still is going to continue doing this.
Good Lord.
After Kwa-Binzaro, trust me, there'll be another story. There's no end to it.
It's chilling for me to think about it. It's very chilling.
Yeah. Nikome hapo kwa sasa.
Hapo sawa. Hey. 98% of public schools submit data in efforts to curb capitation fraud. That it's happening now is a good thing that it's happening, that somebody's asking questions. We've been shouting about this thing for years. Yes. The Ministry of Education has announced that its nationwide verification exercise to weed out ghost learners and schools has been a success, with 98% of the institutions having submitted the enrollment data. The audit is being undertaken to get the accurate number of schools and learners to enable accurate and equitable disbursement of capitation and other funds. According to Education Principal Secretary Julius Bitok, I'm happy to inform the nation that so far we have received data from our 32,000 primary and secondary schools that have complied with the directive. Bitok stated that the Education Ministry is working round the clock to finalize the process. So far, funds have been released to 3,000 schools whose data has been confirmed. So those who came and said, we are Spice Secondary School, this is us, we see you in the system, those ones who've done that have received money. And this is money towards third term. We want to look at the numbers and see what that is. Remember that in third term, capitation was 4,449 shillings and had not been received. And we still had a deficit of about 6,800 collectively from term 1 and 2. So that's what it is looking like there. Of course, questions about what happens with term 1 and 2 capitation is not being answered. But so far, that's what it looks like. My question is this, that children who are in the system have a NEMIS number, okay?
Yeah.
It's been changed to something else, but it's still an IS number, all right? Essentially, it is the number that you have everything concerning your education. You go and you put your number into the system.
It's like your biodata.
It's your biodata for education.
Yeah.
And it also for payment and capitation, this number is put into the system. Now, the way each student has a number, each institution has a code. Each school has a code, has a number. Now, when capitation is being paid, that code is attached to the payment process. It has, it's not rocket science. It's the way you do it. Now, it goes through authorization. That authorization is a couple administration between the Ministry of Education and the National Treasury. It is not possible to make these payments without authorization and or knowledge of this twin administration. So whereas I applaud this data submission, etc., the truth of the matter is that if you really wanted to know what was happening and who it was going to, you wouldn't have to ask schools to resubmit their data. You have it in the central system of payment. You know, if you sent money to Ndu and Dennis Primary Academy and they don't exist, they didn't send the money to themselves. I don't know if you're understanding what I'm saying.
I do.
The money came from a central system to other people.
What I have are questions. I know how the system should work, but the issue here is this. The Auditor General, it took the Auditor General's report to bring this out. That's one. It's not that this thing wasn't there, they knew. But beyond the report, the Auditor General flagged this. Why did it take long to act? For 4 years. This thing, there's an issue. There's an issue. There's an issue. Finally, moto imewaka. Okay, guys, let's now do, and it's a good thing, let's do an audit. The only issue I have here is this. How foolproof is NEMIS from manipulation?
Of course, you have to ask.
If it happened, and it has been happening, so now you do an audit. An audit is one thing. So just filter, which are all these, just filter A and B. So after you filtered, how do you ensure that NEMIS is foolproof? And we continue saying, as long as kuna binadamu, there is somebody, a human being, behind this system. The manipulation is not coming from a pedestrian walking on the streets. These guys know how to access the system. They know how to manipulate the system. The other question is then what happens to the people who manipulated? What are the consequences?
When you find out that indeed people have been, you can talk about people who received the money, but who sent the money?
Yes.
Who allowed this authorization? Because I can verify who I am. That's great. I can verify, then you send me money. That's okay.
Yes.
But in the past, because this is what we're talking about, historically, who authorized this money to go to ghost schools, who they know are ghost schools? Who authorized this money to go? Guess what? Ghost schools were there when Matiangi was the CS education, when the late Makoha was the CS, when I can't even remember his name because it was so insignificant, his role, but at the CS ministry, and then now with Ogamba. Who was the person before Ogamba? My God, you see, I can't even remember his name because you want to ask the question in terms of what happened. And that's where we are.
Did you just...
Yeah, I did. Imagine I did. Imagine I said it out loud. In the daylight, I said it. Thank you very much. You see, even you took your minute. Wow. And that's what we're talking about today. If we really want to deal with this thing, let's deal with it and deal with it properly. Good morning. 7 o'clock.
Good morning, this is the news wire. I'm Leah Ubaga. The family of former Rongo MP Dalmas Otieno, who died yesterday, is expected to give directions for his burial today. Otieno, whose body is currently at the Lee Funeral Home, died yesterday after a short illness. Various leaders, led by Migori Governor Chilo Ayako and Senator Eddie Okech, joined Otieno's family at the mortuary to offer condolences. His family, led by his son Fred Otieno, confirmed that he passed away before being taken to hospital.
What happened is they called the ambulance, and by the time the ambulance came, it was announced that he had passed on. So from that time, we've just been preparing to come here, and we thank everybody for coming over. And any further arrangements will be discussed in due course.
I know all of us knew Dalmas. Dalmas was tall in everything. Tall in stature, tall in politics, tall in knowledge. And we from Migori County, we have lost somebody who was quite tall.
Otieno, who was elected as Rongo MP in 1988, 2007 and 2013, died at the age of 80. Meanwhile, President William Ruto has mourned his death, remembering him as a visionary leader who served the nation with honor, integrity and distinction. Ruto also referred to him as a sharp, progressive and industrious statesman whose ideas and leadership will continue to shape generations. Former President Uhuru Kenyatta, on his part, eulogized the former cabinet minister as an exemplary statesman. In a statement, Uhuru said Otieno made immense contributions to the nation's social and economic development. Otieno, a towering figure in Kenya's political landscape for over 3 decades, served as Rongo MP and held various ministerial positions under the Daniel Arap Moi and Moi Kibaki administrations. Learning in Gatundu South, Kiambu County has been thrown into disarray after authorities ordered the indefinite closure of 29 boarding schools following a series of arson attacks just weeks into the third term. At least 25 students have been arrested in connection with the incidents, with which investigators believe were carefully planned during the recent school holidays. Education stakeholders are now calling for swift action to prevent further disruptions, especially with national examinations fast approaching.
Tumepata information kwamba ni mambo ambayo yamepangwa katika mitandao ya kijamii, tukaogopa na tukahofia kwamba kunaweza kuwa na hasara kubwa. Tukasema kwanza watoto waende nyumbani, tukutane Jumatatu, tupange, tutafute suluhu, kisha tutawaita.
Kuna bweni imechomwa, masaduku ya watoto yamechomwa, vitu malazi pia. Kwa hivyo kulipa nayo tutalipa, lakini ningetaka hata kama ni kulipa, tusiripishwe pesa ambazo hatufai kulipa.
Tuwezi kuwa na mashule 3-4 inachomeka in just 2 to 3 weeks. It's not normal. Kwa hivyo wachunguze, wajue shida iko wapi. Sisi kama wazazi tunataka watoto wetu wasome.
The opposition is set to announce the name of their alliance and the official logo that will be used in the November by-elections and the 2027 general election today. The announcement comes at a time when the DCP deputy chairman, Cleophas Malala, has said he backs the appointment of former Kimilili MP Mukisa Kitui as United Opposition spokesperson and the head of Secretariat.
Lakini rigani za shangwe wanaliita kanambia wewe pia unatetea vijana sana. Kila saa unataka vijana hata wazee pia wanataka kuwa pale kwa uongozi. Akanielezea kwa nini ni lazima ikuwe Mukisa Kitui. Na mimi kwa sababu mimi nasikia Rigiji kabisa. Huyo Rigiji ni mtu wa akili nyingi sana. Ni mtu anaona mbele mtu amekuwa dio, ametoka chini mpaka amekuwa deputy president. Na sasa anaenda mpaka kwa urais. Akanielezea, mimi nikaelewa, nikasema kwa sababu Rigiji amesema Mukisa Kitui akuwe spokesperson, mimi naunga mkono hiyo maneno ya Mukisa kuwa spokesperson, so that tusonge mbele kama United Opposition.
And that's the News Wire. I'm Lea Ubaga.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
In this country, 6 families and 8,000 Kenyans control 90% of the GDP. We are not a country. We are a plantation. We work for Ruto.
When you're telling the judges court orders are papers or they will not obey court orders, they're sitting and you're seeking orders from them. So how are they supposed to interpret it? Isn't it an oxymoron?
When you see a judiciary that seems to be under some control somewhere, you start questioning. We have very powerful governors, but they don't use their offices to serve the people.
If you are not shameful to do what you are doing, why should we protect you?
I'm human, everybody's human. So when you're told, kuja tuongee, I mean, you'd be a fool to say, stagi kuongea today. Conversations have to be had, you know?
People in leadership should only go into leadership if they are ready and willing to change the lot of the people.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state officer, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can run away with it. They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that, because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state officer, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can run away with it. They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that, because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Coming in this morning at a few minutes after 10 o'clock, and did I say 10 o'clock already? No, actually, it's not 10 o'clock. It's a few minutes after 7 o'clock. Actually, there you go. 10 minutes after 7 o'clock is what we're talking about today. Good grief, it's that Monday, and we're getting into things this morning. And even as we get into our conversation for this morning, it is the 8th of September. So you know what that means? That you should then be gearing up and ready, if you've already registered, to attend the Study Abroad World Fair that this morning is taking place in Mombasa at the City Blue Hotel. It's happening today. We told you it was coming, and here it is right now. It's starting at 9 a.m. and going all the way until 4 o'clock. And what you're going to then be able to do as you get into that this morning in Mombasa is that you'll get all the information that you need about your future studies when it comes to university education, and that the Cradle platform is one that brings together 575 institutions in 50 destinations around the world. It's the most diverse collection of universities available to Kenyans under one roof. And so what you can do today at the fair, having registered on www.cradle.com, is that you will then get access to an opportunity where students and parents can explore universities from a worldwide perspective, and universities will come in to unpack what you need to know about the destinations and the right one for you. There would be elevator pitches as you're getting into it this morning, morning from different universities to help you understand the key benefits of different universities and what they have to offer. So students and parents can get face-to-face interactions with university representatives, tailored guidance on career paths, visa and accommodation support, as well as on-the-spot application. So that's what folks are doing in Mombasa this morning. And then in 2 days, everybody's going to head on down to Eldoret because it's going to happen at the Boma Inn. And then on the 13th, we'll be here in Nairobi doing the same thing from 9 to 4. Remember, that's at the Move and Pick Hotel. Remember that you need to register. Although it's a free event, we need to send you an invite. So do that on www.cradle.com or call 0799 000 444. And so those are the things that we're looking at this morning and getting into it. So you need to do that. Folks who are in Mombasa this morning, get an access to that. And in the next couple of days, we'll see more happening in Eldoret and into Nairobi. All right. So we are getting into this hour. We're going to hear from you. You'll talk to us on 07, and we'll tell you that number in just a minute. We're going to open up the phone lines this morning. But what is seeming like a more troubling issue by the day? Let's start from the very beginning of it. But Dennis, you're going to remind us, first of all, as we get into it, about today's proverb and what that is. So we can remind ourselves about keeping folks down and what the Egyptians had to say.
Okay, so our proverb today is coming from Egypt. We are still in North Africa. Last week we were in Egypt. And some bit of historical facts. Obviously we know the ancient civilization in terms of the Egypt being the world's, they actually say math came from Egypt.
Yes.
You know, the pyramids of Giza, the Great Pyramid is the last remaining wonder of the ancient world. You've been to Egypt?
I have.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Did you go to the pyramids?
I didn't.
How?
I know.
So what did you go to do in Egypt?
I did it from far. So it was an education thing. It was a stint for a while, but it was more, and it's one of the things I regretted not doing. I'm actually going and actually seeing the pyramids, and I say I must do it again now to go and sightsee. I was working and studying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You are a very young girl then. And, you just had to go where you're told. Go this way, you go. Go that way, you go. So our proverb: he who digs a pit for his brother will fall into it. And literally this happened. As we read the history of Egypt, there's a story of Joseph and what happened to him and how he ended up becoming prime minister of that land, saving his family and saving his country. So he who digs a pit for his brother will fall into it. It's simple for me, the interpretation. If you're planning to cause harm to someone this morning, you're on your way to work right now, or you're listening to us from home, or from your phone, wherever you are, and you are thinking and planning.
This is how I'm going to bring them down today.
Yes, like Leo, wiki wataniona.
Awanijui.
But by this weekend, akia. If that's your plan, what if you're planning to harm, or you're planning to, you know, people connive and then they make sure that whatever it is that you're supposed to get, it's a deal. And a lot of people do these things.
Yeah.
Like you don't get that deal for whatever reason. Then eventually that same thing will come back to you.
It will.
Yeah.
It will.
Utaumia.
Kabisa. In a greater measure.
Yeah.
Pressed down, shaken together, running
over.
It will. That's just how it is.
Because whatever it is that you plant, you will definitely
you will reap.
You'll harvest.
You will harvest.
So that was my interpretation. And
are you here with us still?
No. I was just looking at some comment here on YouTube around the same thing. I was looking for the name of the guy who, apart from Daniel Steele, James Patterson, Stephen King.
Right, that's it. So if it were a Stephen King novel that we were looking into, it wouldn't be far off from what we see happening in the country at the moment. And we cannot ignore it. You want to be all wrapped up around the politics. You want to be wrapped up around the infrastructure and the things that may or may not be working. You want to be wrapped up by the bilateral and the multilateral conversations that are happening. One of those happening in Addis Ababa over this last weekend, where a number of people then traveled to Addis for that economic forum where the president also is attending. We can talk about things like education, which we should. We can talk about social justice around health matters, which we should. We should bring these things to the fore as often as we can, backed by truth and fact, because the two are not the same.
Yes.
And we should talk about these things and keep them there. But we must also talk about our soul. We must talk about the subjective, which we don't want to often discuss. And unfortunately, these issues have been in the Kenyan. You know how sometimes there are things that are in your computer, there are many pages that are open, different from the one page that you're working on at the same time. So in the back end, this issue has been on the simmer pot for a while. 2023 is when we started hearing, April specifically, is when we heard about this horrific thing that had been happening in Shakahola. Now, we heard about it in April, but it was underground before that. That there were people who had died months. By the time you find skeletal matter in a grave, that body has been underground for a while. Mm-hmm. We are talking about issues that had been cooked, baked, brought out of the oven before the first body or the first remains were exhumed from the Shakahola ranch. That happened in 2023. We finished the whole of 2023. We finished 2024. We've gotten into 2025. People were arrested. Currently, there are 92 people under charge in court and in the coastal area. 92. There are 440 bodies, people who have been identified. There is a list of 637, some having been unidentified. And I'm going to say it. It sounds, and you're going to ask, why are we repeating and repeating? We must repeat, because until and unless something is done, or we have come to grips with the realities that we are existing in, we will repeat. That there is a makeshift morgue outside the Malindi Sub-County Hospital where remains of people, Kenyans and otherwise, reside. They don't reside because they are being stored. That's where they are. Outside Malindi Sub-County Hospital, people died. There is one man who is said to have, that's why we say allegedly, led a movement that then saw the death of children, husbands, wives, foreigners. Under his control, is said to have led them to an early grave by way of starvation because of what is being called this cultic operation, where then people were called in to get to heaven quicker or to accept a certain faith. We had not finished dealing with the horrors of it. There was a Senate committee that was put together. They went to find out what they found out. There are people who were arrested, people are in jail, others are starving themselves in jail. Now, no, that one has not even finished. The sixth exhumation process was still on in Shakahola. We don't even know. The media was cut out of that at some point. We don't even know if more bodies, we don't know if there will be a seventh. Johansson Odur was overwhelmed in terms of trying to figure out what had happened to these people, right? We don't know if the site has now been closed and that the investigation or the exhumation is complete. We don't even know. When all of this is happening, then we hear about a place called Kwa-Binzaro, and bodies are being exhumed. The Red Cross, the police, the pathologist's office, bringing out bodies to the tune now of 39 bodies so far. And then here we are asking ourselves about this young woman who is in talks with Mackenzie, who is in jail. And here she is. They call her Charlene Anindo Temba. She's supposed to be a priestess in a church who people are listening to or living or abiding by. And I saw a comment earlier and I thought to myself, this could be true. That somebody said, people are dumb. And it sounds like an insensitive word to use. But no matter what you say, people are going to follow such things. And another one will come tomorrow. And there will be a leader. And they will be charismatic. And you will believe them. And you will follow. And people will die. I believe that there are not just 39 people that have been found that are dead, or that even as we speak, people are fasting their way out of this earth to die. So what exactly is going on here? That we didn't even finish Shakahola. It was horrible. I cannot fathom the children who died in that manner because they were being starved, because their parents said, we've gone to church, starve so that we can get to heaven. It's an aspiration, something that you should aspire to. And we didn't even finish dealing with that. Senate was not conclusive in terms of what was happening there, or in terms of what was going to happen. We know that a court process is going on. What will happen, we do not know. But then here we are in another one. And that there are people, fresh graves. There are people who are dying again. And so a question that we're asking this morning, are people too gullible or too desperate to then fall for this extremism? What's going on? And who are being targeted? Interestingly enough, remember, we had the lawyer who is representing Mackenzie here with us some weeks ago. And he told us it's not just people who are suffering from poverty that go to these churches, that go to these places of supposed worship. It's across the social spectrum. So what is it that people are looking for? Have we become so gullible that we can go towards extremism of this nature? That's the question that we're asking this morning. What is it, people? What is wrong? What is the problem? What is it? More and more people are dying. Others have now found themselves in court. The Shakahola massacre is not closed. It's not closed. Other people are still dying. Almost 40 now been found in a span of 3 weeks. It's not closed. It's not done. What is it? What's the problem? This fanaticism, this extremism that people want to follow and go. That when you sit here, if I tell you, Dennis, you know what? You want to go to heaven? I'll take you. Starve yourself. You, in your right mind, will you look at me and listen?
It goes back to the question you asked. Are people too gullible or too desperate? I think it's both, but it will be interesting also to hear from our viewers and listeners once we have those phone numbers up on what they think about all this. Because you look at the story of Kwa-Binzaro, it reads like a movie.
And I'd like you to get into some of that.
It doesn't even sound real. But here's how you piece this whole story together, because it's easy then to fill in the gaps based on the information that we have. So this thing started, not the deaths, because we know by 2023, 400 Shakahola.
Yes.
And that is still, quote-unquote, a mystery. We still don't have a finalized report on what exactly is going on. Mackenzie is still in custody together with other suspects.
Yes.
So the thing is still ongoing. Investigations are still ongoing. But as those investigations are ongoing, something happened in Kwa-Binzaro. Here's the thing. If this thing happened in a developed country where not 400, 2 people or even 3 people died mysteriously, like there is a grave and people opening one grave, then they find another grave, then they find another grave, that would have caught the national attention and people not move away from that story. But here in Kenya, surprisingly, 400 is just a number. And for me, the reason why I say that is, do you know anyone, or do I even know anyone who's close to somebody who went to Shakahola? No, we don't. And so we are so far detached when it has nothing to do with you, or you don't know anyone. So you keep reading, these families were coming from the uttermost parts of this country. They're coming, some from Nairobi, others from Western, others from Eastern, others from Central. It's from everywhere. How are these people getting information that, look, guys, let's cross to the coast? There is something happening there. Our deliverance will be there. Now, Thursday last week, the Inspector General of Police, after all this thing has been in the media, finally went to visit Kwa-Binzaro. Now, there's something the Inspector General said. He publicly named one suspect out of several. And he said there's a Miss Charlene Temba, who's a ringleader. And at the time, Charlene was in custody together with 11 other people after the police obviously obtained an order to detain them, pending now the completion of the probe. Now, others who are in custody were given names of one Jairus Otieno and his wife, Lilian Akinyi, who lost 6 of their children. They're all in custody. Pamoja mpaka hapo.
Yes.
Now, the rest are different names, people that you might not even know anyway, but most of these people are from that area. From Lois Zawadi, Safari Kenga, Karisa Fondo, Gona Charo, Kahindi Kazungu, and so on and so forth. Now, when he spoke, this was after 32 bodies had been retrieved from mass graves. This is the IG. So, the Inspector General said detectives are still finalizing their reports, and they're collecting 102 human body parts that are scattered inside. This is besides this number that I've mentioned. Yes. There's 102 scattered body parts, human body parts, inside the thicket near the 5-acre Kwa-Binzaro. Now, the Charlene I've mentioned is identified as the ringleader alongside 4 other people. Now, at the time, he said he can't divulge much, but now, come Monday, we know exactly what was happening. Now, this lady, Charlene, is only 30 years old. Now, the village where Charlene Anindo Temba lives is a village where how she actually ended up in that place is in her house. What detectives eventually found, they found documents that they are now considering very vital for the ongoing investigations. Now, the documents include a purchase, a receipt for a motorcycle. For who? We still don't know. Was Charlene the one riding this motorcycle? We don't know. Now, the second thing we know is a land sale agreement that is showing that she bought 5 acres. Charlene, 30 years old, bought this 5-acre land that was going for 20,000, and she put a deposit of 10,000 shillings. This is now expected to link her to the ownership of the homestead in Kwa-Binzaro where all these bodies have been found. Now, how did she acquire 10,000 with the poverty levels in that area? And she's 30 years old. The story here is this. The link is she frequently visited Mackenzie in prison in Shimolatewa. Okay? So she was frequently visiting Mackenzie. Now, the thing is, in her house, what detectives found, they also found a national identification card belonging to the Miss Lilian Akinyi, who's one of the suspects who's been arrested. Okay? They also found the ID of Jairus Otieno. So why would a 30-year-old girl hold an identification card of a grown-up, a man and his wife, together, who have 6 children? Now, the story, how it broke is, so after the couple that comes from Siaya, they went there with 6 children, whose whereabouts remain unknown, because some of those bodies, still they're doing DNA. Now, police say that Jairus went to Kwa-Binzaro in July this year. So he was secluded after he refused to participate in anything, including burying bodies. So Jairus was told, you know what? Ufuati maagizo, you go to your own room, stay alone, because he refused to bury bodies. So this tells you there are deaths that were happening. So he refused to participate. Now, among those deaths are his 5 children. So child number 1 has died. He refused to bury. Child number 2 up to child number 5. After the death of their 6th child, it's then when his wife started questioning the beliefs that now led him to secret. That this thing, after you've lost 5 children, you've lost now your 6th child, then you're starting to think there's something about these beliefs. Then Jairus goes to some neighbor and borrows a mobile phone, where he made a call for help. Then it began unearthing the cult. Now, where they live is a rented house. So behind the walls of this rented house, what detectives say is sinister is Charlene Anindo Temba, who's the chief priestess in this case. Now, in religious terms, she's the chief priestess. To the police, she's the chief suspect. She had actually rented 2 houses. 30 years again, rented 2 houses. So followers of the cult were being drawn from different parts of the country, and they were being indoctrinated quietly because neighbors are saying there was no shouting, there was no screaming, there was nothing unusual. So they started seeing streams of families, a husband and a wife, 1 child, a husband and a wife, 2 children. In this case of Jairus, 6 children. Others is just a couple going in. So people are thinking, wait a minute, these are family members coming to visit one of their relatives. Because of the seclusions, people don't question, people don't ask. Apparently, inside the walls, indoctrination was happening that was leading to the path of starvation. Mackenzie was doing this publicly. Well, he was doing this by preaching. He owned the TV station. Very smart guy. Now, Charlene, in this case, was not anywhere near TV or radio or an open church. No, these were just rented rooms where people were coming in and they were being told this is the way to heaven.
No church service like that?
No, nothing like that. So last week, when detectives visited Furunzi and established that Ms. Temba lived in secrecy, only hosting families that would later be transported to Kwa-Binzaro in the vast Chakama ranch in Kilifi. So she was the one who was playing host. So after a while, people are being transported to this 5-acre ranch that she bought with a down payment of 10,000 shillings. Her mission was to lead people to God, but instead led them to death.
What is this?
Now we have 40 bodies and more. 102 scattered body parts, human body parts. They're still trying to figure out what's going on.
You know, I have to ask you that the folks who look at it, and we have to ask ourselves, look at it. The people who lead, this one that you're calling priestess, the one who was the pastor, whatever, how come they're never victims of this thing? Why are they alive? Do you understand
These
my question?
people who do this?
Do you understand my question? There are people who are starving and they're dying and they're going to heaven. Are you the last one remaining on the ship that you need to make sure that everybody gets aboard before you close the door? Or why is it that you, as the one who is leading, remain alive? We don't hear that the leader of the thing is also starving and has gone to God, and then somebody else takes over. No. There are other people who are dying and then they're going. Why? Why is that the case? The question that we're asking this morning, people, are people too gullible or too desperate to fall for this extremism? That's the question that we're asking this morning. We would love to get your thoughts and your views on this. It is important that we address it. It's important that we talk about it. Call us this morning, 0732 142 650 or 0732 142 652. That's 0732 142 650 or 652. We're hearing from you this morning. We'd like to hear your thoughts because this is something that's affecting people. It's something that's affecting and society that almost now, 102 body parts could easily be 102 people. It could be 5 people. It could be 10 people. It could be 30 people, but they are people. And we have to ask ourselves that levels of indeed, we are imagining the levels of poverty in this area. It's unbelievable. It's incredible to imagine what some people in this area are going through in terms of a living.
And the thing is, this is a personal opinion. Mackenzie is still recruiting. Mackenzie that guy is very smart. And we said earlier, even the police officers who had arrested him and the prison guards when he was still in custody would say, you speak to this gentleman, you give him 5 minutes, you start actually believing, by the way, he's innocent. And he said Kitaturamba. Because even neighbors are saying, this Charlene, this girl, this 30-year-old girl, they're saying that her conduct did not even arouse suspicion. There's a neighbor in Kwa-Binzaro who is saying that she arrived on a boda and directly approached a local homestead informing its owner that she was searching for land. How is a 30-year-old girl deep inside Kilifi looking for somebody to sell 5 acres of land
to her?
From whose instruction? How logically speaking. Then the homestead was along the road leading to the interior of Kwa-Binzaro towards Shakahola. You see, it's just bordering Shakahola. Now, during her search, she met Mr. Karisa Gona, who offered to sell her the land. The homestead appeared like any other normal fenced house. Now, the wife of Mr. Gona, the person who sold this land, described Charlene as calm and composed. She even said that Charlene once visited her husband to demand that she be shown her land boundaries. She was clear that she wanted to know, so these 5 acres, inaanzia wapi, inaishia wapi? Why was that so important during this period? She was composed, according to the people who interacted with her, while walking, wearing a decent dress, calm, and looked like an innocent church lady with command. You could tell you could not tell she was a bad person. That's what the wife to the guy who sold the land says, that she even offered her food, but this lady refused to eat, saying she was fasting. You see?
There's something here. And what do we see? Look, there's a gentleman, who said before that religion is the opium of the people, and went on to say a number of other things. It's in history books. His name was Karl Marx, and think about opium and what it is, opiates, and the effects that they have on people when ingested. Right, that you have something almost of a transic nature, that your reality becomes altered if having taken this for the longest time. And what are some of the things that opiates do for people is that it gives you, to an extent, a false sense of euphoria, that a false sense of satisfaction at a particular time. And in order to maintain that sense, you need to keep taking the thing.
Yep.
And that is how you get addicted to it. And that if anybody were to tell you anything when you're under the use of these particular opiates, you would do what they say. You would go where they said. You would say what they commanded. This is what he meant at that time. And he likened now religion, where people would go into a trance, where people would start to believe certain things. And this kind of extremism, if anything, kind of cements what the man said at that time. That this religion, bastardized as it may appear to be in this case, that is the thing that gets people, that gets people to behave in a way different from what they would normally do. Because you think about it, Dennis, if this high priestess or whatever it is that we're calling her was able to get some rooms here and there, and that people on their own volition would come into these rooms and sit, and they would starve themselves to death, then they die. Then who removes them from those rooms and goes to bury them? Who's doing this thing? Who is convincing them that it's okay to do that? What situations are they in that are so desperate, that makes them so gullible, that somebody can come to them and tell them the way out of this is unto a joy that is in heaven or wherever it is, and the only way to get there is for you to strip yourself of any kind of human desire, such as hunger, in order for you to live on the other side? How crazy do things have to be for people to believe it and then act on it? And when I say crazy, I don't mean how crazy do things have to be for individuals for you to get to that point?
We were created to aspire as human beings. There is always something you look forward to. There is a betterment to life that we all seek. That's why we work. We want to improve the quality of our lives. We want to be better people. And at the same time, when you find yourself in a very desperate situation, and then you meet somebody who speaks to that deep-seated need in your soul or in your spirit, or somebody who then speaks to and touches, and this is at an emotional level, at a spiritual level, physical need level. When you find somebody then who speaks to those specific things and tells you, look, life as it is, it's hard enough, but it can be better. And this is how it can be better. So you need to, so don't eat food. And when you don't eat food, this is the sacrifice, or this is the price that you're paying for you to acquire that which you believe by faith you'll actually get. So you then tend to believe that, look, if I give myself to this level, if I starve myself for a week, then I'm appealing to this to this God, quote unquote, that then will look down and say, oh, okay, so this person has really sacrificed a lot. Let them do this.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people then have given up on life. And the idea here is the only way, two things. Do I want to go to heaven? Do I want to go to hell? Obviously, I don't want to go to hell. I want to go to heaven. So how do I get there then? Then starve myself, because you're going to, you know how people say when somebody dies that this person has gone to a better place? So people are still alive, but they are seeking this better
Aspiring
place.
for this better place.
Yes, exactly.
And so, I mean, and for sure, Atieno, I'm not saying that, I'm not saying that people are crazy or dumb. What I'm saying is, how crazy are the situations that people find themselves in, liking to what you're saying, Dennis, that is going to get them to be in a place whereby somebody who then comes, because we've seen some charismatic pastors. I've been in the presence of some leaders at some point, and the words that fall from their mouth are like honey dewdrops draped in gold. They would say something and you would listen to what it is that they say. So you can imagine yourself in a desperate situation and somebody with such charisma is speaking to you in that manner. If they can almost turn police officers and prison wardens, what are we talking about here? Now about somebody who is in a desperate situation, who is saying, okay, there is a place, right? I feel isolated, I feel desperate, I am poor, I have nothing. And then you come and tell me that there is a place whereby I don't have to go through this suffering anymore. And the manner in which you're delivering this message to me is so incredible. Is that why people are falling for this thing? We're taking your calls, guys. We're doing it this morning on 0732 142 650, 0732 142 650 or 652. Let's hear from you this morning. Tell us where you're calling in from. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Okay, I think our calls are dropping, but we'll take more of those as we come through. What is the situation?
You know, there's a sense where people search for meaning into life, you know, and what then these cults do, they give you a sense of belonging. When you study any cult, there is a strong sense of community.
Sure.
So you want to bring people together, but then what you're essentially doing, you're also secluding them from the rest of the world and then
indoctrinating them. And you need them alone. That's the thing. We're taking your calls this morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. How are you guys?
Very well. Please tell us your name and where you're calling from.
I'm in Nairobi. I'm heading to work.
Yes.
I'm listening to you guys. Manze, mimi naona hiyo ni mambo na brainwash ndio mingi sana. Mimi naona huyo msemo mwenye kama Mackenzie angekuwa mtu right, yeye ndio mtu wa fast angekufa. Yeye angejitolea safara. Hiyo mimi naona hiyo ndio.
Thank you for your calls. We'll take some more of those calls as we come in, and let's hear some more of those. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Tell us where you're calling from and your name, sir.
How are you, Ndo?
Very well. How are you?
I'm very well. Say hi to Dennis over there.
Dennis, you are being greeted.
I'm good.
Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
My name is Derek. I'm calling from Mungai.
Yes.
And I'm listening to the story, and I have a bit of suspicion with the issue of Mackenzie.
What's your suspicion?
Personally,
sorry?
I suspect Mackenzie is being used by some top leaders in this government because from that time he was jailed till now, he has not been confirmed guilty or not guilty. And one could be these people are trying to manipulate these people to die, and before they die, they are being forced to fast. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
They are being forced to fast so that when you fast, the body sometimes it kind of detoxifies itself. And there could be something called organ trafficking. And I don't know. It's a crazy world we are living in right now. And it's so sad how they're manipulating people in this country. And I feel bad for people who are being manipulated. That's too dangerous.
Definitely taking that into consideration. Thank you for your call this morning, and thank you. We could hear from you today. We'll take some more of those even as we continue with this conversation. Do let us know where it is that you're calling in from this morning. Are people too desperate to the point whereby are people so desperate to the point whereby, extremism then comes into play? Hello, Salim, good morning. Calling in from Mombasa. How are you?
Okay, I'll just put it in two ways. One, people are so lives nowadays in a way that they like shortcuts. They just want to excel, be good people within. For example, if you go, for instance, in the betting companies, 90% of guys are just sitting on betting, hoping to get those millions in short time without working. So the same formula, people want to excel, either to go to paradise or to have good life without struggling. People don't want to spend time to use their energy to get the best thing forward. Sasa mtu ameambiwa tu hapa ukiramba matope mwili wako utakuwa brown, utakuwa kama mzungu. Hiyo matope itaisha in 10 minutes. People are so desperate to get good things without going deep, knowing the base of it, uelewe hii kitu inaendaje, inafaa ifanye vipi ndio mimi nipate kwenda huko mbinguni. As my fellow has said, yeye mwenye anataka ende mbinguni ako hapa anakuambia wewe uende. A teacher teaches you to go to a better life, yeye mwenyewe tayari ako katika hiyo better life. A doctor is treating you upate uzima na yeye mwenyewe tayari ako pale na anatreat akinywa dawa yeye pia. How come Mackenzie anaambia wenzake waende mbinguni na yeye bado? Yeye ndiye atafunga gate. And finally, tuache watoto wasome elimu kwa uchini. Ukiangalia 90% yenye Mackenzie amekuwa affected ni watu wa 18 something. Hao wote hawana background ya religious education, whether a Muslim or a Christian. Unaona, let's allow our kids waende Bible study, waende madrasa. At least they know the basics from a very early beginning. Lakini mtu amekaa amefika 24 ajielewi, ako disparate, ajui atakula nini, alafu all of a sudden kuna njia hapa ya kwenda mbinguni. Ajui amefundishwa the religious background yake iko zero. You can easily trap that person.
I hear you.
Sorry, but yes, that is my two things. Disparity and lack of knowledge at early stage of our kids. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Salim, thank you very much for your comments this morning. We'll still keep taking some of your calls today. 07321 42650 or 07321 42652. Our conversation continues this morning around what exactly is happening around the country. We'll take some of your comments that are coming in on our socials this morning as well. And it's very interesting to see that when we take a cross section of what some of these comments are, that, desperation definitely does come in. We are gullible. Is what a lot of folks have to say this morning. Looking into things, are we too gullible to fall for this kind of extremism? Because the truth of the matter is that it does come from across board. Dennis Pan-African says, crazy how we're able to recruit from far-flung areas of the country and deep into the interior. People who can't even afford to travel to the coast, do they use social media? How do they know? Where are our journalists to solve the mystery crime? Could there be organ trafficking at work? Does that come into play, Dennis? That it is perhaps that people are being trafficked for their organs? That has come into the suggestion?
It's one lead. It's one among many leads. So you have then to connect the dots. If then there's organ trafficking, there is somebody high above Mackenzie and Charlene who is using them then to do this. How are they transporting these organs from those deep branches in Kilifi to wherever? How are they being preserved? A lot of questions still.
Sure.
Yeah.
Mkwama says it's exploitation of the most vulnerable. And Duke says God lives within us and that should be enough. Anybody can be radicalized, says Masai Njeri. I'd equate it to Stalin's Soviet Union or the Nazi Germans. Okay, that's interesting that you say that. We might be far from being able to elect good leaders as a country, considering the many people who follow shady religious leaders, and that politics is emotional and not logical, that it should be formulaic, it should be scientific, that we need this to be done. We see that this individual has it, take it and put it there, but we're too subjective. And so if we look at how we can be selected or how we can make selections about what we believe, then how are we going to make those decisions about who's going to come in to lead us? The problem is lack of regulation, delayed intervention and slow justice, says Isa Kale. And going on to say, couple it with charismatic leadership and distrust of institutions and promise of salvation. Mkwama says, I wonder if before religion came to Africa, whether African customary beliefs, there was a promise of heaven. Or was there a promise of, just living in harmony with one another? And also then people are agreeing with what you're saying, Dennis, that in all of this, Mackenzie himself is actually involved. Let's take some more of your calls as we're getting into things this morning. Hello, good morning. Tell us your name and where you're calling in from this morning.
Good morning. My name is Nyeri.
Yes.
Hello?
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Did we lose you? Hello? Okay, maybe you try to call back there and tell us your name and where you're calling in from this morning.
My name.
I
can hear you.
Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay, go ahead. Tell us.
My name is Mweni.
Yes, Mweni.
From Tala.
Yes, Mweni.
Am I talking to you right now?
Yes, you are. You are on Spice. This is a situation room. We're hearing from you. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I'm Mweni from Tala.
Yes.
And I think what's happening in this country...
Yes, go ahead.
Happening in this country is a problem of religiosity in this country, where people are so desperate and malleable because of the state of the economy and because politicians have a role to play in this case. I'll take, for example, the noise in the churches. Like 3 churches. And I live deep down in the village, a place called Maisha, Missouri. I'm sandwiched between, 3 churches. In the morning, I cannot make a call. I cannot watch telly. I can't listen to the radio. And when I have tried to talk to the pastors, I've even written letters. Some even copied to your station, telling them that noise is going to mess my ears. I have a right to live in a tranquil environment. But imagine I'm the enemy of the village. I'm supposed to be, I am a Christian myself. But what is happening here is just, what do you call it? Indoctrination?
Yes. It seems we seem to have lost Mweni. We'll see if we can get her back, and we'll take some more calls. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Hello, good morning. Tell us your name and where you're calling in from, sir.
Jina yangu ni Harold Sichemo.
Yes, tell us what your thoughts are about this. And please also reduce the volume on your radio, TV.
Jina yangu ni Harold Sichemo.
Yes, sir.
Napiga kutoka Kitale.
Okay.
Napiga kutoka Kitale.
Maoni yako ni gani leo asubuhi?
Maoni yangu ni kwamba ni watu wanakosa kumwelewa Mungu, kwa sababu dini zimekuja ya biashara na wanafundisha itikadi ambayo wanaona ya kwamba njia rahisi ya kupata raha ni kwenda mbinguni na kukosa kufundisha jinsi ya kwenda mbinguni, kufata Qur'an ama kufata Biblia. So na kwa sababu ya hiyo watu wanadanganyika na kuweza kupotea katika hali hiyo. Kwa hivyo inabidi sisi kama jamii za kufundisha watoto maadili ya Mungu, iwe Qur'an kuanzia utoto, na pia kama ni kanisa Biblia, ili watu wa kujua njia ya kamili ya kwenda mbinguni.
Asante sana.
Yeah.
Asante sana. Yeah. Thank you so much for that. We're taking other calls. We'll take one more before we get towards the end of it. Hello, good morning. Okay, I think we've lost that one. Let's try and see if we can get it back. I mean, this is an issue for very many people. And have we seen that there is a takeover? We'll take that last call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. Okay, I think we've lost that one. Let's try and see if we can get it back.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Please turn down the volume on your radio.
Okay. I have done it. I'm doing it. Yes, Mama.
Yes, good morning. Please let us
Morning.
know. Please let us know what your thoughts are around this issue.
My name is Richard Anyona Marangeti.
Yes, sir.
My thinking is that hii kazi yote inafanyika kwa ni setani na nguvu za kisetani. For example, how can someone tell you that you have got to die to go to heaven? Kwa nini yeye hataki kufa ndio aende mbinguni? For example, huyu Mackenzie amehaya even advocates wamtetee kwamba chakula ninapewa ni mbaya, itakuja kuniadhiri. Kwa nini yeye anatetea maslahi na uzima wake so much na anataka wengine wakufe? Hizo ni nguvu za shetani ndio zinafanya hivyo. Nguvu za asiwezi kufanya namna hiyo.
Kweli.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for your thoughts this morning, Mzee Richard. Asante sana. And this is what we're hearing from folks this morning, that we're getting to the point whereby it really is extreme. Dennis?
I believe life is spiritual. You can scatter around this conversation. Unfortunately, the people have lost their lives, people have died. But always remember, life is spiritual. There is the dark side to spirituality. There is the good side to spirituality. The thing is, when it gets people then, because we're saying, are people desperate or gullible? It is somebody who rises up and takes advantage of your ignorance because you're not exposing yourself to knowledge. And I've heard some callers, talking about the importance of learning, getting to know what is in the book. If you're reading the Bible, what is in it? If you're reading the Quran, what is in it? The whole point is people perish for lack of knowledge.
There it is.
And who says that? Not me. It's God who says that. Yeah.
There
My
it
people
is.
perish for lack of knowledge.
For lack of knowledge. It is unfortunate, Dennis, that in the next couple of days, with more exhumations taking place, with Douglas Kanja, the IG of police, telling us that 102 body parts are yet to be identified, and that those who may be in other graves, remember that one of the things that we saw, one of the characteristics of this exhumation that we saw in Shakahola, is that we had mass graves, that there were very many people within graves, up to 6, 7 in a grave. And that we've not finished with Shakahola. We haven't finished.
We haven't finished with Shakahola, but we've called this Shakahola too.
Exactly.
How is the 30-year-old girl luring all these families to rented houses, then leading people to bury bodies in the 5-acre piece of land?
You have to ask. You have to ask. And this is where we are. That in the next coming days, in the coming weeks, more people will be exhumed. It reminds me of South Central Nigeria, where you have fattening rooms. In this case, you have starving rooms, where people are starving in order to get to heaven. They are operating right now. We're going to be faced with the horrors in the next couple of days. It's still very much alive. It's here with us. We can't keep it on the back burner. We must bring it out into the open and have these conversations. They continue, and we'll keep talking. Good morning at 8 o'clock.
Good morning. This is the News Wire. I'm Leah Obaga. President William Ruto has called on Africa and the Caribbean community, CARICOM, to step up the push for reparatory justice for historical injustices. Now, speaking at the second Africa CARICOM summit in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, the president said the African CARICOM reparations working group should be given more support and resources so that it can drive the agenda more effectively.
Developing common strategies and advancing coordinated initiatives, Africa and Caribbean can ensure that reparations speak not only to the injustices of the past, but also to the inequalities of the present and the promise of the future.
He also pointed out the need to address debt, saying the heavy financial burdens faced by African and Caribbean countries are a direct result of colonial exploitation.
IDA and the Africa Development Fund, ADF, are lifelines for Africa and other developing regions. Unless replenished at scale, development finance will remain significantly and severely constrained. Capital adequacy and multilateral development bank reform. Balance sheet optimization is insufficient. It cannot deliver the trillions required. AFDB's issuance of $750 million in hybrid capital 2 years ago is commendable but marginal compared to the challenges we face. MDP capital increases are necessary and in fact are an imperative.
He added that stronger cultural and educational exchanges between the two regions could help preserve shared history and inspire young people to carry the struggle forward. A police officer accused of fatally shooting two boda riders in Makongeni, Thika West Sub-County is set to appear in court today. The officer, identified as Police Constable Eric Gian, attached to the DCI headquarters, was arrested on Sunday morning after allegedly opening fire and killing Kennedy Ojuma and Stephen Wendwer during a confrontation near Makongeni police station. Police reports indicate that the officer, who appeared intoxicated and armed, resisted attempts by traffic officers to disarm him before discharging his weapon and fatally wounding the two men.
Ni ile tu accident ya kawaida, ilipatana na mtu wangu akiwa amebeba customer wake, akaguzwa nyuma na gari. Hapo ndipo wale walikuwa nyuma walikuja kusaidia, kuuliza huyu mwenye amewaguza, bona unaenda na umewaruza watu pale nyuma. Na hapo ndio mwenye gari alitoka akiwa mlevi sana, akaanza kuwaruzana na watu wangu wa bodaboda, lakini coincidence askari wakafika kupelekwa hapa station. Ndio jamaa alikuwa na funjo, alikuwa mlevi sana, na hapo ndio tulinotice ako na buduki, lakini askari walijaribu to maintain peace. Hapo ndio bibi yake alifika, akasema sasa yeye mtu mwenye anaweza fanya asikize ni bibi yake. Kufika bibi yake, wakati alikuja tukapata jamaa ni mlevi sana, tukijaribu kutafuta solution. Ndio wenye sasa walikuwa tunajaribu ku handle the situation vyenye iko, ndio jamaa alitoa buduki akashoot hao majamaa wawili wenye sio wenye walikuwa kwa accident, wenye walikuwa anakuja kusaidia.
And boda riders have demanded for justice, even as the authorities have confirmed that the suspect is currently being held at Kiambu police station and will be arraigned at the courts today as investigations continue.
Kama kuna wezekano, mimi hiki kitu nasema, yule mtu ako na makosa, kama ni huyo wa pikipiki tukiambiwa tuleteeni, tutalete. Sisi ni watu wa pikipiki, tukiambiwa mtu wenyu ndio ako na makosa, tutalete. Lakini askari akiwa ni yeye ndio ako na makosa, sheria ichukuliwe. Kama ni yeye ako na makosa, sheria ichukuliwe. Kama ni mtu wetu wa pikipiki ako na makosa, sheria ichukuliwe. Sisi hata tutakange kuhabisha huyo CS wetu.
And 8 Nakuru County officials are expected to appear before the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission today to record statements regarding payments of over 22 million shillings made to private law firms. The Senate Public Accounts Committee says the payments did not comply with procurement laws. The officials have been summoned just days after Nakuru Governor Susan Kihika appeared before the Senate Public Accounts Committee, where questions were raised on accountability. The committee, chaired by Homa Bay Senator Moses Kajwang, criticized the 22.6 million shillings payment made to 6 law firms without the approval of the county cabinet. The first to be questioned today are County Attorney Caleb Nyamweya and Chief Public Service Officer Charles Koech at the EACC offices in Nakuru. That's the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
Good morning, and I love your show.
Thank you.
Having come from a Kikuyu radio background, I migrated to Spice because of the content.
I was born in a slum, but somehow I got a break in life. So sometimes when you see the sweating coming out because of the passion and whatever it is, behind the noise, there are people, and we share the same umbilical cord.
It shouldn't be like that. I am so disappointed. We used to tell Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga that he's doing police of conmanship, and even President Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali hii ndio iko na conmanship ya hali ya juu. You cannot promise people that you reduce tax, then you double.
In politics, there is the issue of trust. For you to turn around and then stab the same people who gave you that trust, there is no other level of dishonesty. Imabo, utaona dunia tu.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state of, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can run away with it. They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that, because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
It's a very good morning to you. It is 9 minutes after 8 o'clock, and this is the Situation Room. It's the 8th of September, and one would ask, where are you this morning? Well, if you're in Mombasa, you're in the right place, because at the City Blue Hotel, the Study Abroad World Fair is taking place this morning, and it's starting at 9 o'clock. In about an hour or so, you still have time to get on down to start taking part in this fair that essentially is going to make sure that whatever it is that you do, you have access to all the information from 575 universities in 50 plus destinations around the world, because you're looking for your next place to go for your university education and you're not quite sure what to do in terms of visa support, accommodation. Can you make an application to university on the spot? Can you hear from university representatives? Will they all battle it out to see who is the best destination? All of that and more is happening at the Study Abroad World Fair, which today takes place in Mombasa at the City Blue Hotel. In a couple of days, all roads lead to an Eldoret at the Boma Inn, where the same conversations will be happening, but of course with a different flair. And it all ends in Nairobi on the 13th at the Movenpick Hotel. Cradle is the one platform which combines all these university destinations, institutions, with fantastic destinations. And it's one platform where you can get all of this stuff done. What you need to do to attend these fairs is register on www.cradle.com or call 0799 000 444. And even as we get to that, let's face it, there's never a time that's been better to take control of your financial future. So when we say now is your time for wealth, we're not just throwing around a tagline. We're talking about being deliberate with your money, your goals, and your legacy. Standard Chartered Priority Banking offers a comprehensive approach to managing your finances, meeting both your current lifestyle needs and your future aspirations. So whether you're thinking about starting a portfolio for streamlining your assets, the advice is personalized, it's strategic, and tailored to where you are in life. life. And I get it. When you've worked so hard to build something, trust and security become everything. You want a partner who's not just competent but consistent, someone who protects what matters and helps you grow it. That's what you get with Standard Chartered, a solid, trusted partner who understands wealth isn't just about money, but it's about the people, values, and futures behind it. So today, what we need you to do is send an email to wealth.ke@sc.com to begin your journey, because your time is not tomorrow. Your time is now. So the moon tells us things. You can look at the moon and you can tell changing of times and seasons. When you look at the moon, if it's a particular place, if you happen to be near a body of water, you will see that the waves will either recede or they will approach. You will also see that the moon changes the weather patterns. It has a change with the weather patterns, and you will find that as the moon gets fuller, the weather is warmer, and that you'll find that there is rain coming in. These things all attach to themselves.
Okay.
So with the coming of the moon, you also find new things, and that there will be new ways in which we will handle matters. And a few months ago, the moon of things changed on how elections and boundaries will be handled in this country. Do you see where I'm going?
No, I didn't see that coming.
But you see that?
I was also looking at you wondering, okay, are we still talking about what we saw last night or what?
No. Stick with me, brother, because the plane is about to land. Dr. Alutalala Mkhwana is commissioner of the IEBC, the brand spanking new IEBC that has been put together as of a couple of months ago. New moon, new things. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right. He's here in the room this morning. Dr. Mkhwana, good morning.
Good morning, ma'am. How are you?
Very well. How are you doing?
This thing about the moon is fascinating.
Isn't it? I'm telling you, it's a wonderful thing.
It's really fascinating.
It is very fascinating.
The mysteries of nature. I'm well, ma'am. Thank you very much for having me.
Well, thank you for coming.
Really a pleasure. First time in the Situation Room.
Yes.
With my brother here, I've had enough interactions with him.
Yeah.
Happy to see you in KT.
Good to see you too.
Found a nice mind.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for
coming, and also congratulations on your appointment in this commission, because it is the commission where every single eyeball of the country is at the moment, and in terms of what's going to happen, we're talking about litmus tests, and perhaps we are getting into a place where the piece of paper is about to be dipped into the liquid, and let's see if it's going to come out red or green. So before we get into the conversation this morning, we normally share a proverb from an African country. Dennis will tell you where we are today. We would love to get your interpretation of that proverb.
Okay.
So today's proverb is coming from a country that is referred to as the gifts of the Nile. And in this country, one fun fact is there was a period when cats were very sacred, and that if you accidentally killed a cat, that was punishable by death in ancient times. I'm referring to a country in Northern Africa called Egypt. You've been to Egypt?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, beautiful country.
Yeah, to the pyramids.
A big percentage of the country is a desert. So in Egypt, they have very many proverbs like other African countries, but decided to dig up one. He who digs a pit for his brother will fall into it. What would be your interpretation? He who digs a pit for his brother will fall into it.
Thanks, Dennis. I think it's fairly straightforward. A pit is not meant for humans, is it? And least of all, a close relation. So if you're going to dig a pit with the intention of causing harm or hurting somebody so close to you, the very proximity between you and that person means that it will eventually have a ripple effect on you. So usimchongee mwenzako maovu yatakuja kupata wewe.
So from Egypt to Kenya, you realize for every African proverb there's a Swahili version. True. Like all countries, like we all share something common. All these proverbs, just a little twist here, little twist there, but they're all the same.
The Wahangers were up to something, that's for sure, across board, and they knew what they were up to. Well, okay, so since the new IEBC was put together, Dr. Mukwana, this is the first time that we've had someone from that new composition to come in. So we're grateful that you were able to do that with us this morning, because there are, of course, many things that we want to look into as concerns. All right, so where's the country headed? For the longest time, and we say long time because, you know, in this dispensation, a day could be a very long time. Yeah. A month is a decade in comparison. Yeah. And so for the longest
say that again.
Yeah, you thought you just came into the position, but it feels like you've been here for 10 years, hasn't it?
Yeah, indeed.
So here we are, and there are very many questions.
Yes, ma'am.
But let's start from the area of, you know, gearing up towards an election. Yes. And the by-elections are going to serve as a litmus test as to whether the IEBC is going to, as it's now currently constituted, is going to be able to carry out the duty. Call it crazy, but that's what folks have said. Do you think so?
Thank you, ma'am. If I'll definitely respond to that, and if you permit me, I want to thank you for the opportunity once again, specifically because the biggest challenge that we have in this country in the information space is sieving through. There's so much information flying across everywhere and coming up with what really is the correct position of anything. Practically everything has become anything, and anything has become everything. Right. So I want to thank you very much for the opportunity. Secondly, please permit me just to explain what we have done since we came in that will help us execute the roles that you are definitely interested in terms of clarification. Now, when we came in, we are about 53 days, thereabout, in the commission. We made it purposeful that we need to reorganize the structure of the commission in a way that will help us carry out our duties effectively. And the first thing we did is that with the direction and guidance of our chairperson, we created 6 thematic committees which are supposed to be the drivers of execution of our work. Allow me to explain this because it will be useful in our conversation as we go forward.
Okay.
The first task that we did was to elect amongst ourselves a vice chairperson. That vice chairperson, we opted for the youngest of us all, Fahima Arafat Abdallah. Fahima is special in this context because, number one, she's the youngest of us all. She's 32.
Okay.
Number two, she comes from the least community in the country. She comes from Shela in Lamu. But most importantly, she represents the young people in whom we think that this future must be invested. And so that's the first major decision we made. By electing somebody who is younger, it is a pointer to where we are headed in terms of our focus. That our emphasis as a commission must be that the 70% of the Kenyans that we have who are youth must be at the center stage of what it is that we do. I keep telling young people, God has given me many years so far, and I'm grateful. But if all things remain constant, I'll depart to meet my Maker earlier than the 70% of the population in this country. So everything we do as a commission must have that as a clear premise on which we are going to work. So in my view, that is phenomenal. Number two, Fahima Arafat, therefore, as the vice chair, is in charge of the procurement directorate. Now, you're aware that procurement has been a troublesome area when we talk of IEBC. So again, to ensure that the thinking in terms of procurement will mark a clear departure from how those who have been there have worked, we brought in a new person, this young person, to be able to give us a refreshing approach to issues procurement, to issues handling of finances. So for us, that's big. Number two, we then looked at how shall we deal with the issue of elections, and we elected Commissioner Nderi, who has a lot of experience. Commissioner Nderi first worked with IEBC before she went to the ORPP, where she has been, and now she's here. So in terms of electoral operations, that's a very, very knowledgeable mind that we have. So electoral operations under our sister Commissioner Nderi. Then there's the whole issue of legal compliance. Every time we've had elections in this country, when you talk about the bills that are ailing IEBC, now about 5.3 billion. All historical from 2013. They are not ours. Legal has been a thorn in the flesh of IEBC. Practically everybody around in this country sues IEBC. So we gave it to one of us who is very, very old hand in legal matters, and that is Mary Karen Sorobit, 30 years of legal practice. Then came the other area of human resource. Again, we believe that you cannot come out here and promise that you're going to deliver credible, fair, and transparent elections without taking into consideration what stuff are you using to have that to be delivered. And we gave it to one of us, Commissioner Hassan Nur Hassan, whose history, whose background has been practically in governance and administration, the public affairs, over 45 years. There can be no more trusted person than that one in terms of experience. And then finally, we came to the issue of voter education. Now, if you read the exit report by the Carter Center after 2017 elections, they say that the biggest problem that IEBC faced that time is that they did not communicate anything good they did, neither did they communicate anything bad they did. In other words, there was no communication.
Yeah.
And so we decided that we are going to put a lot more emphasis on being able to be heard, creating our own narrative so that the Kenyans can decide on whether we are doing a good job or not, because IEBC has been seen with a lot of obscurity. So they chose to give it to me because I've had a chance to interact with Dennis here and many others. So they thought my face may appease you guys and be kind to us. So I was given the voter education, partnerships, stakeholder engagement, and communication. In the 50 or so days we've been in the office, we've held close to 20 stakeholder engagements. That shows how important we are considering us going out there and talking to the people, including the journalists. And so with that kind of thematic composition, that is how we intend now to execute our roles. Your question was?
Before I go to the question, permit me to ask this, because we are still in the stage of talking about composition.
Yes, please.
And we can't run away from this question that was clouding the swearing in of you and the rest of the other commissioners, because you've clearly given us profiles of why each commissioner then fits into their roles in terms of experience, in terms of age, and all these other things that you're looking at. Then the question is the whole issue around the names that were fronted and the politics around it. And you can't, you've said 5.3 billion legal. Everybody sues IEBC.
The bulk of it, yes. The bulk of it is legal.
Procurement is always at the center of all these things.
Yes.
But politics is also equally the same. I don't know how you're handling this, but what would you then say about those who argue that, look, a lot of these commissioners are representing the interests of certain individuals, either in government or in the political circles? Does that in any way influence how you're going then to carry on the affairs of the commission?
Not to our mind. Dennis, the biggest problem we have as a people is that we have become so cynical about practically everything. I've been in this country for a stretch. And in my life, I've interacted with many people, including yourself. I mean, your sister here could easily say, Dennis, you're disqualified to sit on this panel because you've met this guy before.
Because you know each other.
Because you know each other. So the fact that you have interviewed me before when you're in other place you've been, does that therefore render you incapable of discharging your duties here today by the very fact that you have interacted with me before? The reason why we were hounded to court is to be found in the grounds that were raised in the court papers against us. Some of us were said to have godfathers. none had godmothers, by the way. We all had godfathers.
They're not gender sensitive, eh?
They are not gender sensitive in the accusations. So all of us, somehow dotted lines were traced into a particular political leader. And the reason was, they say that because we have worked with some of those politicians, because we have interacted with them, therefore will not be impartial. And then we ask, the fact that we have been in this country means we have interacted with other people. The Constitution does not bar you from ascending to any public job by the sheer fact that you've interacted with somebody who is in leadership somewhere else. That would be calamitous. And therefore, there is no way, the fact that somebody thinks that we have interacted with so and therefore cannot be able to work, that cannot be a limitation at all. Look, Kenyans have to then make up their minds what they want. If the drafters of the Constitution intended that the people who will handle the IEBC will be people who have descended from somewhere and they have not interacted with any other person in this country, then the Constitution should have stated so. But better still, maybe they need to decide whether we should have the UN. That whenever we have elections, the only person who not have interacted with politicians or other leaders in this country, maybe is the UN. Or since we say India is a very good example in terms of elections, democracy, maybe we should pass a law and say that whenever we have elections, we invite citizens from India to come and sit in the IEBC. It is close to paranoia when it comes to IEBC. And we'll be explaining this as we go on. For example, when you talk about the cost of elections in this country. Because we don't trust each other, we have put layer after layer of regulations in the laws governing IEBC, such that even where digitalism would help, e-voting would help, we still have put another layer of manual, because we think if you just send this thing to the server, there is somebody sitting in this server, and that server is something like a small black box. Somebody gets in, opens it, changes things, and closes, and therefore we should also have a parallel system that is manual, where the votes have to be carried right from the polling center all the way to Bomas of Kenya. We are becoming paranoid about ourselves, and this is the big problem.
Can blame be laid at the foot of Kenyans for being paranoid? Well, let's take a look at chronology, shall we? And let's come all the way from 2007, where 2007 probably is the one that led into some of the most violence that we've seen after an election in Kenya. And then after that, there was a 2013 election for which there was contestation. And then there was a 2017 election for again there was contestation. And then you have the most historic Supreme Court judgment, which then put to bed an election not on whether somebody won or didn't win, but because there was a flawed process, right? Every year since 2007, there has been contestation on an election, and more than not, it has been on process. We came then to 2022, where after that election, it was the whole hot air debacle that then came from the judiciary. Now, the process issue lies at the very doorstep of the IEBC. We can't run away from that. It is a procedural commission. Whether you're looking at voter registration, whether you're looking at carrying out an election, whether you're looking at counting votes, whether you're looking at the transmission of votes, these are procedural. And because of the happenings of every election in the last 20 years, the public trust has reduced. So are Kenyans to be blamed for being paranoid if you look at this chronology since 2007?
Thank you very much, ma'am. That is a fantastic question. It actually dovetails into the question, why is there public mistrust in IEBC? And that is a question we were asked, most of us who were in the commission, we were asked during our vetting process, what will you do to reduce the gap of deficit, the deficit gap in the trust about IEBC? And that question, therefore, is very good. A straight answer to your question, Kenyans ought not to be blamed. It is understandable. But we must call it out for the negativity and the destructive atmosphere, the toxicity that is causing in the electoral system and in the political atmosphere and eventually the stability of our country. But let me explain a bit of chronology, the historiography behind this mistrust. Number one, if we look at the history of elections in this country, right from 1992, when we had the first multi-party elections in this country, and slightly before that, we had the Mlolongo elections. Mlolongo, I do not know whether you were an adult then, I was. In Mlolongo, it is said that those, all you need to do, if Dennis is the one who is candidate A, he would stand, and then those who vote for him will line up behind him, and so forth and so forth. Now, it turned out, so it is said, that those queues which were shortest, meaning they had the most few people, were declared the winners. And those who had the longer queues were declared losers. Now, fast forward. What perceptions do you think, therefore, Kenyans would have from those kind of results? Negative, fearful, distrustful. Fast forward, come 2007. And during that time, it was a charged election. And what happened? At the height of it, when the temperatures were high, the late Samuel Kivuitu, being the chair of the commission at that time, said, I do not know what they are cooking. At that time, the votes from Tharaka-Nithi were delaying to come in. And we are told that when they came in so massively that the winner was determined more on the Tharaka-Nithi votes.
Yeah.
And then he said, I do not know who won. Now, again, what perspectives and what perceptions do you expect Kenyans to get from that? Those who are being fearful, distrustful, and not trusting the process. Fast forward in 2017, and the elections are annulled on grounds that they were not fair, transparent. So the first problem that is causing us to have a trust deficit in IEBC is our history of elections. Unfortunately, we have not done well to change that history. The perceptions persist. And therefore, IEBC of Isaac Hassan, IEBC of the late Chebukati, IEBC of Ethekon Edung Erastus cannot be the common denominator of this lack of trust. Because if the problem was Isaac Hassan, if the problem was Chebukati, why hasn't the trust shot up with the coming of the new commission? The common denominator, the first one, is the history of elections in this country and has been conducted. The second problem...
By whom, though? I'm sorry.
Sorry.
How elections have been conducted. By whom?
But by the political players and by the electoral commissions that have been there.
Okay. So there's
I gave the example of the late Samuel Kivuitu.
So there's a composite. There's a composite responsibility here between political players and the body that conducts elections.
Correct.
So are you admitting that there's something that's in this water here that folks are drinking of that is creating this lack of trust in people?
Yes, there is. And I was going to come to the politicians and how they contribute to the problem that we have in IEBC as a lacking deficit. The second problem is the electoral ecosystem in which IEBC operates. The system of elections in this country is known as majoritarian, by which all a presidential candidate, and the problems are normally with presidential candidates. There is no problem with governors. No single election of a governor has been identified.
No.
For MP, there's only one. So there's no problem in other elections of presidential. So there's a problem with the electoral system because the electoral ecosystem is such that it is one which is based on majoritarian principle. By majoritarian, I mean that all that a presidential candidate needs is to clock the 50-mark threshold and then look just for one. And it does not matter that the other candidate got actually 48% of the votes in this country. All you need is 50 plus 1. What is the risk with that? That what a candidate will do is to look for a tribe that has the largest numbers. And you can't blame that candidate. If you're in that shoes, you will also do because all you want is to win. So they get the biggest tribe. Then all this leader of this tribe needs to do is to go out and look for a leader of another tribe. Not voters. Look for a leader of another tribe and just get the one more. Once that is done, they are in. So once they're in, whether they choose to pay back to the 51 or to pay back to the 100% Kenyans is another issue. So the electoral ecosystem is predisposed to misuse and unhappiness of the result. Let's take the other one, which is proportionate member representation, where, for instance, you would have political parties going into the election as opposed to the individual candidates. A political party will then, for example, Party X, Dennis Party, would go in and say, for us, this is our manifesto, this is our gender mainstreaming, this is our marginalized mainstreaming. Should we win, these are the members that we propose to form government. Beforehand, the voters can pick out the party that is compliant with what it is they look for. That could even help us kill off this gender parity problem that we've been unable to attain. That also would help because whoever wins forms government in proportion to his or her win. So if you get 30% of the victory, you form 30% of government. If you win 40%, you form 40% of government. That way the winner takes it all is diminished and the unhappiness is gone. Last year, we had 16,405 candidates registered for elections. Out of this, remember, 16,405, all having supporters who had invested emotionally, financially, and who knew things were going to change for them. Out of these, only 1,851. So even if you just take it that way, literally, in terms of the unhappiness and in terms of the happiness, which one will be the prevalent atmosphere? Will they be those who won or those who lost? So the very issue of majoritarian ecosystem in politics is killing. Finally, number 3, the politicians. Our politicians ought to help IEBC to overcome this trust problem. Because what happens is that our politicians on both divides engage in talk that is not helping to unite the population in this pursuit. You've heard where some politicians said, this one, we will top up. You've heard some politicians saying, this one, we have it. For a fellow who is in the village, that breaks their hope. Hii imeenda. Sasa kama imeenda, tutakuja kupiga kura kwa nini? Last election.
Why do you think they say that? Because before you're even sworn in, these conversations are already happening.
Precisely.
They were saying precisely that, you know what, ata kura zile, for example, rais atapata, tutaongeza.
Correct.
So they're talking about stuffing of ballots.
Precisely.
Why would they boldly and openly say those kind of things? And even after you've been sworn in, those conversations are still going on, that they are going to steal the election, and they're going to do this by doing what? Increasing the number of votes that are coming into the preferred presidential candidate.
Dennis, if that question came a few years ago when I was in the field of media analysis.
You know, because you're talking about politicians, and I'm wondering the boldness to say certain things for that villager that you're referring to. They will tend then to feel there is something these people know. Because the last election, there was a conversation about hustlers versus dynasties. Then there were people of the system. And what then that meant is the people of the system have the system in place. So they've already, wamekoroga kila kitu, they know from point A to point Z to the servers that this is what's going to happen. And whether you like it or not, this is what's going to happen. So that's where a lot of people are coming from. And the distrust that you're talking about is, we are seeing these politicians and you're saying you need them to help you. But they are doing the opposite.
Thank you. I know you're a fair guy, so it'll be fair to me that I don't get into the field of political analysis. But I'll tell you, because now here as a commissioner of IEBC, I'm here to speak about what it is that is the perspective of IEBC. And with the permission of the chairperson of the commission, who is the official spokesperson of the organization, I can say this. I do not know why they would say that. But I know what the reality is from the perspective of IEBC. It is not practical. It is not possible for any politician to steal an election in this country. And at the right time, if you allow us, we'll come back here with our technical team to simulate how this election is conducted from the polling station all the way up to the so-called bombers. And that's why I come around with my elections manager, I come around with our communications manager, because these are the technical people whose voices have never been heard, and therefore Kenyans don't actually know that even though politicians may say that tutaongeza, well, they're in their field. Let them do what they know best. But for us as IEBC, it is not possible to steal an election. Let me explain how. The KI decision ruled that the polling station, that one classroom, the one stream where you go in and cast your ballot, it is independent unit. Voting begins, continues, and ends at the polling station, nowhere else. Once your ballot is cast, in the evening, those ballots don't go anywhere until they're counted. They are tallied, and the total number is arrived at, in the presence of all agents, in the presence of the media. Once that is done, those results, wale wengine wako pale, waandishi wa habari kama ninyi, pigeni picha. You have a right, hamzuiliwi. Na mkizuiliwa tuambieni, piga picha. That then is scanned to the constituency, and that is then to go to the tally center is scanned directly. There is no interference between the polling center and the final destination of that ballot.
Are you speaking historically, or are you speaking about what is going to happen in the future in 2027?
You'll be surprised that we can speak what you are going to do. But with the benefit of having gone into the IEBC today, and when I sit with these professionals, there is nothing that happened to say, at least not in 2022, because we have gone into the 2022 history, that can say the elections were stolen. Far from it. And that is why I have just given the example that out of 290 members of National Assembly, how many petitions went to court and how many succeeded? I only know of one, Magarini, correct?
Yes.
Out of the 47 governors, how many petitions went to court and how many succeeded? Tell me. Out of 1,465, thereabout, MCAs, how many went to court and how many succeeded? So if out of the 6 elections, the success rate was 99 plus, why is this perception lingering? Out of the presidential tallying of results, the transmission was 99.8%. Nobody talks about that. So for me, and I keep saying that before I went to IEBC, I was on this other side, and I would make analysis about what it is that IEBC was to do right. When I went in, and that's why I come here freely. I ask you to ask me all the questions so that IEBC can also have a day in the court of public opinion to say what it is that it has done. But the chairperson has told us we'll maintain an open door policy. Where we make mistakes, because we are all human beings, we'll readily admit and correct, because we are not humans. Thank you.
So allow me to ask a double-headed question here.
Double-edged one?
Double-headed.
Oh, not edged. Thank you.
No. So do you think that the outburst or the thought, which we've heard from a number of politicians, and not just one or two, there have been about 3 or 4 who've essentially said, Ata isipotosha tutajaza, right? Yes, that has been said by politicians.
Yes,
so whichever way we want to take it, or it means as though the body that conducts elections then would be malleable to making this Jaza thing happen. You see what I'm saying? So that's one. is it possible that that public sentiment would give rise to this thought that that would be a possibility, that it's possible for somebody to rig an election? The other head of this question then is that if you removed politicians and their ability to then discuss with the IEBC or meet or share with the IEBC in this manner, if you removed that element from this process, would we still have as much of a sticky situation as we currently do or have in the past?
What do you mean by if we remove the politicians from this?
The politicians play referee. The politicians have a hand. The politicians have a say in even the makeup of those who selected the IEBC. They did. They can call on the IEBC and say, no, we don't agree to this. We must insist on this or the other thing. If we removed a political tint from this procedure, would it make a difference? And said, look, allow us as the IEBC to truly be independent, because that's the first word. That's what I stands for, isn't it?
Thank you. Let me begin with the first question, that because of some of these remarks by politicians, the Tutajaza remarks, your question is, does it contribute to the negative perception about IBC, if I got it right? And the answer, yes, to the villagers, our brothers and sisters who are in the rural side of this town. And by the way, let me be fair to them, not only them.
Even then here in the city?
Yes.
Absolutely.
I am in some WhatsApp groups where I have colleagues who are professors, PhD holders, masters, and I see fake news, patently fake news. It's not even a deep fake. It's an obvious fake being posted in that group. And guys who have really gone to school pick it and peddle it around, and they form narratives, and those narratives, before you know, they're trending. Now, a fellow who has average education in the village, a fellow who has average schooling in the slums, becomes just swayed. So most of these negative perceptions that actually nearly consume IBC are without basis. Most of them. I'm not saying some are not. Most of them. And therefore bring in the issue of AI. And it's a dangerous mix. It causes a crisis. So yes, some of the remarks by our politicians have the potential to continue discrediting the ability of IBC to be seen as credible. Because again, credibility, trust is about perceptions. And if you're not in control of who creates these perceptions, then really you're a lame duck. So on our part, you're going out and pleading with the politicians that please help us. Do your thing, but be kind to IBC. Do not make remarks or statements which can actually harm the credibility of the institution. Because it's not only IBC. We have other Chapter 15 commissions, KHRCR, all others. The moment politicians tend to make remarks which appear to show the common man that this commission, we can deal with it, it dents the credibility of those institutions. So the answer is yes. But for us as a commission, we know that that is a risk, and what we are doing, we are coming out to engage politicians. Because again, politicians are the major consumers of our services. They are major stakeholders as well, just like the citizens are. So you cannot say that you cannot deal with politicians. Independent commissions also at some time become interdependent in the sense that you rely on this government agency to do work. For example, we rely on the National Police Service for security. We don't have a security team in IBC like in other countries which takes care of the security. So yes, we are independent, that's no doubt, but in terms of operations, you become interdependent. We go to Parliament, Jailer Committee, which actually supervises in terms of what it is we are doing. And we need funding. We go to the Treasury. So it is not right to think or even contextualize and say that since we are independent, we need nobody else. That is not practical. However, in terms of our work, our true north are the citizens. Because as an independent commission, we are exercising delegated sovereignty. This delegated sovereignty under Article 1 is delegated to the executive, to the judiciary, and to the independent commissions and the county government. Your second question was, if we removed politicians from making IEBC? Will that help? I'm not so sure they have a straight answer to that. But let's look at it this way. Who, under the Constitution, forms IEBC? As a Chapter 15 commission, we exercise the sovereignty of the citizens. In the appointment of IEBC, the law envisages a process that is public participatory. And that is why the IEBC commissioners go through you apply, your names are published, the public is invited to criticize, the public is invited to bring complaints. After that, you go to the stages of selection, from selection, and everything must be public. So in brief, the appointment of IEBC is in such a way that it ought to represent the spirit of the Constitution, which is we are independent and performing the delegated authority by the citizens. In such a way that at the end, the president receives recommendations, and it is on those recommendations that he then acts. If your question is, if we remove the politicians from appointing IEBC, would that help? I'm not sure. Because governance is in the hands of those who are in government. Whether you are talking of police, we're talking about judiciary, the judiciary, for example, who appoints judges?
The president.
The president. After a public participatory approach. So it is really a hybrid. The public is involved. The public can bring any complaints they have. They can actually stop some candidates from going forward. There are some candidates who faced a very rough time, if you remember, because somebody within the public had come and complained about ABCZ. So if your question is whether we should remove politicians absolutely from the process of IEBC appointment, and if that would help, to be honest, that is not something I would have a clear mind on it, because that is a system that there is, not only for IEBC, but for other commissions as well. Thank you.
Let's look at the ghosts of the elections. We have to talk about the ghosts as we look into the future. And I want to address a couple of matters here before we go into the question of the by-elections. And it almost feels like we'll need some more time with you on this. The 2022 presidential election petition. I'm just looking at the issues that were raised then, that were the same issues that were raised in 2027, if not more. The grounds, we know the petitioners was Raila Odinga, Martha Karua, Azimio la Umoja, One Kenya Alliance, and together with others. So the grounds they were challenging William Ruto's declared win. And these were the allegations. And I'm going to raise this so that I get an answer to how then you will be doing things differently. One, there was the issue of the interference of the IEBC servers. My question is hizi server ziko wapi? When we've had this opening of the server question for such a long time that at some point the password couldn't be found. The person who had the access to the server couldn't be found. Where are the IEBC? Where are the IEBC servers? One. Number two, there was the issue of the discrepancy in tallying and verification. I remember IEBC had actually given Kenyans access to Forms 34. To Forms 34A. So from the polling station presidential results, people could go online and access and see the Forms 34A, then Form 34B, the constituency tallies, and then the Form 34C, which was the national tally, that were available online. But the question then arose that, yes, you have access to these forms, but the issue here and the challenge is accessibility doesn't necessarily mean interpretation, because we had an issue where a polling station X has 5,000 registered voters. But the number of people who voted on that day is 7,000. So you have 2,000 extra, but the registered are 5,000. You catch my drift?
Is that 2022 or 2017?
Sorry?
Was that
I'm raising 2017 and 2022. I'm looking at the ghosts of where we're coming from with these issues. So discrepancy in tallying and verification. Then the third one is illegal involvement of foreigners in our technology.
Joseph,
are we the ones who are handling our own technology? Do we have who are these foreigners going? Because in the spirit of transparency, we have to talk about these things. It was a mystery. There were people who came into the country. They were
with election material.
Yeah, they were found at the airport.
Argentina.
And yes.
Jose Camargo.
Yes.
Is he a real person?
Jose Camargos, And then There's the issue of the splitting of commissioners, that they came out disowned results and they're saying we are not agreeing with the chair because of A, B, C, and D. Again, speaks of interference. And what happens, because the question at that point was, if people are voting, the tallies are coming in, why would commissioners sit to debate these numbers, agree to disagree? They're not the ones who are telling people this is how to vote or anything like that.
The numbers come in.
You're interpreting the figures that are coming in. So why would there be splits within the commission? So how is IEBC going to address this as a counter to what was previously raised in the Supreme Court?
Thanks, Dennis.
Yeah.
Just look at my watch. How much time do you have for this?
Let's go. Let's keep going.
Let's give you
time.
Okay. I'll say this. When we began the conversation, I indicated that in future I would like you to allow me to come in with our technical leads.
And we will.
Thank you. And this is one area that I would want us to reserve. I'll answer generally, but there is an area I want to reserve. So the next time we'll come actually with our elections operations director and one more official from that directorate. So much of what has been said about these things from the question you're asking represents what I have decried here as lack of the correct information coming out in the public. The issue of extra ballots in 22 never arose. It might have arisen in 2017 when the elections were annulled, but that I have not applied my mind very well to it. I have applied my mind to 2022, and I'm clear from the information we have, the commissioners, as commissioners, there was no issue of extra ballots. However, as I said, this is something I would like you to give me one more time. I'll bring my technical team and I'll sit here, just have enough mics for everyone. I'll sit here and let them just take Kenyans through one after the other, because this is important for us to overcome this issue of trust deficit. The illegal involvement of foreigners in results. You know, when we went there, we also wanted to know, who is this Jose Camargo? And it turns out that the issue of Jose Camargo was played out of context. That one officer, election officer, and again the technical guy will come and explain, that one election officer at the polling center who was taking a picture of the result. You know, you need to take the picture and then send it.
Yes.
Placed it above, superimposed it on a wrapper, that wrapping as a seal. The person who had been involved in wrapping the ballot from the other side, that's part of the seal. You need to put what is known as the seal, and you put the name of the person who was involved. So that was Jose Camargo. So this particular picture was sent to the results with the Jose Camargo here, and that became the clarion call for election theft. I was surprised that was the explanation, but as I've said, and this I give you my word, I'll bring the technical lead on this one. You can ask all the technical questions so that you satisfy Kenyans. It's not for you and for me, actually. It's for the Kenyans. So I hope that suffices. Let me talk about the split screen, the disagreement between commissioners. This is one area which the chairperson, the vice chair, and ourselves have told ourselves we have to work on. It is not fair to Kenyans that you have been given a job, and on the day when you're supposed to be delivering, you come and say, Erastus, doing Ethicon, made that decision alone. And then in one corner, there is Erastus, doing Ethicon, and two of us there. And in the other corner, there is another one, and four of us there. It is not fair at all to Kenyans. And the biggest problem that could have led to this, we were not there, but having studied the decision of the Supreme Court, 2013, 2017, and 2022. And by the way, the advisory that they just gave the other day on the issue of boundaries delimitation, the Supreme Court has picked out consistently governance and administrative infrastructure weaknesses in the way the commission is structured. The commission has a CEO as the accounting officer. In conventional parlance, where there is a CEO, the buck stops with the CEO. Then, in the case of IBC, the Act brings the commissioners, who then become the commission. So if you look at it, there are actually two centers of power in the structure of IBC. And the Supreme Court has advised, including in this latest advisory, that there ought to be a legislative reform that will cure the infrastructural vulnerabilities of the commission, which is prone to disagreements among commissioners. For example, the chairperson is the sole returning officer for the presidential election. So does that give him a blanket mandate to run with that decision, with that job, without involving the rest of the commission? Because the law does not say that he owes it to all the other commissioners to sit down in the plenary and say, this is what has come out and this is the position. That is what the Chirera 4 are arguing, that the late Chebukati had made a decision, but they are not involved in them.
Is there merit in that argument?
Logically, yes, there is a merit. But legally, no. Because the law as framed gives the chairperson that status.
So, I'm sorry. So, when you look at that then, isn't that where the problem comes in? Because the law gives you carte blanche in terms of then what you can or cannot do. So if there was ever any kind of, if there was another side to this argument, you as an individual, knowing full well that this carte blanche status is in your hands, you, where humanity, where an individualism now steps in, can actually make a decision as you would want.
Yes, we are all human, man.
Yeah.
We are all humans. And that is why there must be guardrails for such an important mandate as that of declaring the presidential win. Because as we have explained for the last 1 hour or so, there is not much a problem for governors and MPs and MCAs. The problem that we have been having in this country is
the presidential election.
So, and this is what the Supreme Court has advised. It's not actually my advice here. It is the Supreme Court has said there are governance and infrastructural deficiencies in the way IBC is made up, and that has to be worked on. Okay. And remember, guys, that the biggest problem, whether you're talking about 2007, when the country burned, whether you're talking about 1992, when you had tribal clashes in Molo, Kuresoi, the problem is many times with the presidential election. And talking about the presidential elections and the issue of how politicians could help us improve the acceptability of the decision of IBC. Look at how the country becomes useful whenever the leading presidential candidates unite. IBC becomes a smart guy. There's no problem with IBC. But every time there is an election and there is the presidential winner, the one who doesn't win the presidency disagrees and says, IEBC wameiba kura, vifaranga vya kompyuta vimezaliwa, and so forth. Implying that in IBC there is a place where there is a hatchery where you put eggs and then they hatch and there are vifarangas that come out of it, and these vifarangas are the elected people. And the common man believes vifaranga vya kompyuta. But soon after that, when these leading politicians agree that Kenya should come first and they work together, they bring coalitions by whatever name, IBC has no problem. And so the ecosystem of our politics is a boiler room, is a matter of life and death. If only politicians would give us the kind of peace that the Ghanaian presidential candidates give their people, where they shake hands and say yes. In the last elections, there was a dispute in about 3. They repeated, and the loser shook hands with the winner and said, you got it, I'll have my second chance. If only our politicians will favor us with that attitude. They accept having lost. Where there is a doubt, it is repeated, and the winner takes his win, the loser accepts there will be a second time. That will also help us have stability and peace after elections. Well, and IBC will be a smart guy. Hata laumiwa wakati huo, hana kidonda.
Okay. 24 by-elections coming up.
Yes.
IEBC is ready?
We are.
You have your budgets?
Yes, we have. We asked for 57 billion. We were given 50, spread over the 3 years.
Oh, it's impressive. You need to tell the rest of the country what to do to ask for when their money is due.
Yes, it is not, it can never be enough.
Yeah.
But look, the country has a very short fiscal headroom. We're still working on areas that we could get more because the 57 was after rationalizing, and therefore there are some areas that would need better help. For example, in voter education, the budget for voter education really went down. And yes, so in terms of by-elections,
that really does affect you directly because we're looking at a great number of new registered voters coming in, and so therefore voter education. And if the budget's downsized, then that affects what you essentially were made.
Yes, in terms of voter education, yes, we believe we could do better with more, particularly because if you look at the number of spoiled votes in the elections, it shows that we need more education out there. But most importantly also, education should be continuous. What has been happening in the past is that after elections, the budgets are slashed, and therefore there's no voter education. But the law says there should be continuous voter education. So yes, there is a bit of squeeze on voter education, but by and large, in terms of the by-elections that are coming, we are all ready. And as you must have noticed, we've already announced the day for continuous voter registration, 29th September. So the short answer, Dennis, is we are ready. And we'll do the elections.
We're going to hold on to that promise of coming back to explain a number of things. The process of these things then needs to make sense to a lot of Kenyans. If there's anything to dissuade or dissolve the public distrust, it's necessary. Unfortunately, you're working from a place whereby that has already been built up. So to work against this can't be easy, but it's necessary for it to be done. Kenyans want to give a chance. Kenyans need to give the chance, on transparency. Thank you so much for being here this morning, and we're looking forward to the next one. Hopefully it will not be too long from now.
Not at all. As I said, the chairperson has given us the mandate to keep this new commission in an open door policy.
Okay.
If you ask us to come back next week, you see, you didn't even give me the questions that you're going to field.
Because you would have been prepared. It should come from,
So that is how open door we are. So if you, in fact, I would urge that next week or any other week when your time allows, we'll come back. Please allow me to tag along our technical leads in terms of election operations. I could even also come with Commissioner Njeri, who is in charge of election operations, so that you also ask questions, because I'm here in my capacity as in charge of voter education, partnership, stakeholder engagement. You guys are stakeholders and communication. But there are commissioners who are in charge of specific dockets. Njeri commissioner will come here to talk about election operations. But what I want us to talk more is on the issue of election, particularly the issue of results transmission.
Absolutely. Transmission is one of the issues that got the 2017 election overturned. It's necessary for us to look at why do we have to do this whole fiasco going to Bomas? Why do we have to then be very, insistent on some issues where we've already declared, according to the minor Kiai decision, that it was going to be declared at the polling station? Why do we have to do the rest?
Correct.
Those are questions that we have to ask.
And there is one more. On the cost drivers. Kenyans are unhappy that the elections are too expensive. But nobody bothers to dig deeper and find out what are the cost drivers. In 1992, when we had the first multi-party elections, we had 6,000 registration centers. 6,000. Today, at least as at 2022, last election, we had 46,000 plus polling stations, What does that mean? Each polling station has a minimum of 10 staff.
So that's 10 times 46,000.
Yes, on payroll. Add 2 security officers. Add a driver on standby. In total, at that election, we had over 510,000 employees paid.
No wonder it's expensive.
Yes.
We'll look into the details of that as well.
Thank you.
It's 10 minutes past 9, but we want to thank you for staying on longer and necessary for us to have this conversation. We'll dig in a lot more. Dr. Lutalala Mkwana is a commissioner of the IEBC, has been with us this morning, and we're looking forward to more conversations with you. Asante Sana for being here, and we look forward to more. Good morning. It's 10 past 9.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Nairobi.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state of, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can run away with it. They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that, because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
In this country, 6 families and 8,000 Kenyans control 90% of the GDP. We are not a country. We are a plantation. We work for Ruto.
When you're telling the judges court orders are papers or they will not obey court orders, they're sitting and you're seeking orders from them. So how are they supposed to interpret it? Isn't it an oxymoron?
When you see a judiciary that seems to be under some control somewhere, you start questioning. We have very powerful governors, but they don't use their offices to serve the people.
If you are not shameful to do what you are doing, why should we protect you?
I'm human. Everybody's human. So when you're told, kuja tuongee, I mean, you'd be a fool to say, stagi kuongea today. Conversations have to be had, you know?
People in leadership should only go into leadership if they are ready and willing to change the lot of the people.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Good morning, and I love your show.
Thank you.
Having come from a Kikuyu radio background, I migrated to Spice because of the content.
I was born in a slum, but somehow I got a break in life. So sometimes when you see the sweating coming out because of the passion and whatever it is, behind the noise, there are people, and we share the same umbilical cord.
It shouldn't be like that. I am so disappointed. We used to tell Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga that he's doing politics of conmanship, and even President Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali hii ndio iko na conmanship ya hali ya juu. You cannot promise people that you reduce tax, then you double.
In politics, there is the issue of trust. For you to turn around and then stab the same people who gave you that trust, there is no other level of dishonesty. Imabo, utaona dunia tu.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state of, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can run away with it. They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that, because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Ladies and gentlemen, do you have the charm, the confidence, and the charisma to steal hearts? The Hello Mr. Right auditions are here. Join us live at the Kenya National Theatre, Saturday 9th and Sunday 10th August from 8 a.m. We're looking for bold, authentic male and female personalities ready to shine on Kenya's biggest matchmaking show. If you're 18 and above, bring your A game, your smile, and your confidence. It could be your time to find love. And while you're at it, renew your StarTime subscription today and stand a chance to get upgraded to the next bouquet absolutely free. The all-new season of Hello Mr. Right is coming soon. StarTimes. Enjoy digital life.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state officer, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can run away with it. They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that, because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4.
This is the Situation Room. It's Kenya's biggest conversation this Monday, the 8th of September, getting into and continuing with conversations that we have this morning. It is the 8th, and so if you are in Mombasa, you're at the Blue City Hotel, and you're attending the Study Abroad World Fair that's taking place courtesy of Cradle, putting together university destinations, universities and those institutions, their destinations, and a place where you can come and ask questions about what you can do, where you can go, how you can apply for accommodation and visa support, how you can also then make the application to that university that you want to go to. So that fair is taking place today. If you've not registered for the Eldoret edition or the Nairobi edition, you can do that. Cradle.com, www.cradle.com, or call 0799 000 444. Get everything you need to know. Leave at the end of the day armed with all the information to make that step into your future with Cradle. And even as we do that, we need to focus on wealth protection sometimes, don't we? That you don't know what keeps people up at night. It's the thought that maybe everything you've built could be lost. And so you think about that. But the folks at Standard Chartered Priority Banking make it their priority to make sure that wealth preservation and risk management is kept. Their expert teams don't just guide you, they protect your assets from market fluctuations, economic shocks, and other unexpected risks. And you can talk about that with a specialized investment advice and portfolio management. So you don't need to be overwhelmed by endless options. From real estate to international investments, you can get expert help to optimize your decision making. So it's not just about growing wealth, it's about growing wealth wisely and with clarity. And your path to that starts with one email, wealth.ke@sc.com. This is actually your time. So last week on Wednesday, we heard a very troubling story. And it wasn't just a story, but it's the reality of a family today. And it is the reality of then very many people in the country under a burdened health care system. And we're telling the story today, and we are with two gentlemen in the studio today, and they're going to talk to us in a little bit. Bernard Atsenga Babu is the father of Faith Bin Zali, and Bernard is here with us in the studio. Bernard, good morning.
Good morning to you.
How are you doing?
Quite fine.
Yeah.
At the moment, trying to keep up.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. We're going to get into it just a little bit. Alex Ndongomaina is sadly the husband to Faith Bin Zali. Not sadly, but that after the fact that Faith is no longer with us, but you are Faith's husband.
Yeah, for sure.
Good morning.
Morning to you too.
Karibu sana. Thank you for taking the strength to be here, both of you, this morning. It's not easy to discuss something like this at any time. And it's not easy to do so soon after the fact.
Yes.
But we're going to talk about this because it's necessary for us to do so, especially in light of what we're facing. We read the story in the papers. Dennis had the story on his bulletin on Wednesday. And Thursday morning, he came to the studio a troubled man, even after we had all seen the story. But he opened it up in a way and we said, absolutely not. Not like this.
Yes.
So we want to hear from you, Dad, just a little bit. Tell us a little bit about what happened with Faith before we come to you, Alex.
Well, it's a disturbing story because my daughter has been very, very healthy, and she has never had any lifestyle disease of any kind. In fact, she's one of one of my children who I would actually say that she has never had any problem whatsoever. So she trusted God to get a baby, and her desire was that she can be able to bring up her child in an environment that is very good. But unfortunately, what happened actually threw us off balance. We were like a drama because the situation was very disturbing. Since she was about 6 months pregnant, she would actually come to our house on a daily basis because she decided that together with her husband, they would not stay far from us because of the connection we had. She had a very positive connection with us as a family. And she would actually, because we stay on a 4th floor where I stay, and she thought that the best place where she could do exercise is climbing the stairs, and then going down. So she would do that on a daily basis until the time when she was ready for receiving her baby. So on Monday, the 1st, we spent the entire day together in my house, together. And we even shared lunch together. And we all even prayed together. She was in her spirit, very healthy and strong, and without any problem whatsoever. Until on the morning of Tuesday, the 2nd of September 2025, when she called the mother, and when she called the mother at around 5, the mother picked the phone and she told her that probably the amniotic fluid had broken. So I told the mother, the best moment is now. We are prepared to receive our first grandchild, which was very amazing.
How old was she? Was your daughter?
26 years.
Okay.
Yes. So what happened is now we advised her to get a vehicle as fast as possible and hurriedly go to the hospital where she has been attending medical attention,
So she's been at this hospital for her prenatal care?
Yes,
All right.
for prenatal care.
Okay.
So so I spoke to her husband, and the husband said, yeah, we will be in a hurry. We have to be able to reach in the hospital at least by 5:20 in the morning, a.m., 5:20. So since 5:20, I never had, I was never in contact with her until about 5 in the evening, when I received a call that I was supposed to be at the dispensary, that is St. Joseph, the Worker Health Center. I was supposed to be there for to sign a consent. I don't know how they call it in medical terms, but to sign that
it's consent.
Yes, consent. Yeah, to sign the consent for her to go for a cesarean. So I took her mother and we rushed to the hospital. Unfortunately,
just for clarity,
yes.
Where is this hospital?
The hospital is just behind Mountain View Estate in Kangemi.
Okay.
Yes. So we actually rushed to the hospital. I was actually prepared, if in case I find my daughter in a situation that could be compromising, I was ready to take her for a referral to a better facility. But what shocked me is that by the time I reached, my daughter had already been taken in for theater.
What time was that?
Around 5:30.
5:30 p.m.
Yes.
Okay.
Around 5:30 p.m. She had already been taken in. So I tried to inquire from the sisters the circumstances leading to her being hurriedly or in a hurry to be taken to the theater. And they said, it's very unfortunate, we had to. But I asked then, I'm the father, who signed the consent? And I was told that the cousin to her husband signed the consent. So I said, was it in a rush or what happened? I didn't get any information so far from the hospital.
As you're asking all this, your daughter is in theater.
As I'm asking all that, my daughter is in theater. But I don't even know where the theater is. So they told me that you don't have to ask so many questions. All you need to do is go and sit outside and wait until those guys finish what they are doing, and we will give you a report.
Okay.
So I went outside, disturbed, very disturbed, because by the time I arrived at the hospital, mind you, I found my sister-in-law, the mother to her husband, in tears. So it still traumatized me. I was so disturbed. Why is this happening like this? So at the time, after around 20 minutes, a sister comes and tells us that those who are disturbed, finally, we have good news. So I said, praise God. And the good news is we have a baby. So we all were very joyful, and we thought that this is now the moment. And they said that give us about 20 minutes, we dress the baby. After dressing the baby, then we will call you in to see your baby. So I actually went. I sat somewhere for some time. And then after that, they called us after about 20 minutes again. And they said, come in now and see the baby. So we went in.
And that's what time now?
That's about 10 minutes to 6. About 10 minutes to 6. So when we reached the room where they had put the baby, I saw the baby. The baby was so handsome. In fact, looking at us, I was like, it's not possible. Many times in my life, I've seen young babies, they don't open eyes.
No.
But this one, the eyes are open, very open, and just looking so handsome. I was excited, but my heart is still telling me, where is my daughter? Can they explain to us anything about faith? So as a grandfather, I took the initiative to hold the baby, to lay my hand to the baby and prayed. When I finished praying, immediately I said, Amen. A lady hurriedly rushed into the room in a rush. In fact, I was pushed aside, like push. Yeah? songa haraka. Songa. And she picked up a certain machine there that appeared to be like an oxygen machine. And while pulling it, it was stuck on the wall because the socket was still on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
So the sister who was there then with us decided to ask her, please let me remove it from the wall first. So she removed it and then she entered the opposite room. So I discovered probably the opposite room was the theater.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to look inside because in the gap there is some space. You can be able to see someone lying on the bed.
Mm-hmm.
So I was wondering, what kind of a surgery, a theater is this? You can see inside from outside. I asked them, this rush could be as a result of something. Is there something wrong happening? And they told me, go outside and relax there. We will call you. So I left.
When you're asking all these questions and you're seeing this gap and you can see inside the theater,
yes.
Did you know that your daughter was in there?
I didn't know. At this
point, you don't even know.
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know because that's a hospital, so you don't know exactly what is happening and even where the theater is, because I was not there at the time she entered. So I went out and then I was so disturbed. I went and sat in the car. I didn't want to hear anything from anyone. I stayed there for almost an hour. Now, after about an hour and maybe a few minutes, I called my son and mama, and I told them, please excuse me, I have to go where? Home, so that I can go look after the young girl who is back home.
Mm-hmm.
I can also prepare some dinner, so you guys, when you come, you will find dinner ready.
Mm-hmm.
What happened is I left the place and like just 1.5 kilometers, the guys calls me and somebody calls me, I think a lady, and tells me, Daddy, please come back.
This is a hospital staff?
No. Not even a hospital staff.
Who is this who's calling?
I think a cousin to Faith's husband.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was unable to turn. But I gave myself courage, and I turned the car, and went to the hospital. While still before I arrived, my son calls and tells me, "Daddy, where are you? You have to be in a hurry. You have to come very fast." So I decided I drove a bit faster and arrived at the hospital, and found everything in confusion. My son-in-law told them, now Daddy is here. Now tell us what exactly has happened. So these guys takes us in a room, in a place, and then they tell us, sit down.
Which guy is this now?
I think one of the doctors.
Okay.
Although I'll not be able, because I don't know whether he was a doctor or just a staff of the hospital. So he tells us, sit here. I told the guy, no, I can't say it, just tell me what has happened. And he insisted. He said, I can't talk to you people when you are standing. You have to sit down. Say, no. The message you need to give me, I will hear it from the ears. Please speak. And the guy says, we tried our best, but we did not make it. What? Tried our best? I broke down and hurriedly rushed into that room which I had left.
Did you know what he was talking about?
I didn't know. Because, it was like a shock, We did not make it. What do you mean? Because everyone is crying. So I said, no, let me just go and confirm for myself. I rushed in, went to that room. It was just, they had just returned the door, but they had not locked. I jumped in. What I saw was devastating. Devastating. My daughter was actually naked. The place where they were stitching, a quarter way done. So it's just open, wide. And to make the matters worse, blood was soaked in the place where she's lying. Blood is soaked everywhere, soaked. She's soaked in blood, and the blood itself is trickling to the floor. From the side where the legs are to the other side where I'm standing, blood. At this particular point, I'm seeing blood too, even from the mouth here. And right on the left side of the wall, there are spots of blood, like somebody coughed, like a struggle on the wall. It was devastating. I couldn't stand that, I couldn't stand that. I was like, if there is a time I have prayed like Jesus, Jesus, please come. I was seeing like I'm Jesus and Faith is Lazarus. If I can speak to her to wake up. I did that for almost 40 minutes to 1 hour, Faith, please wake up. If you can do it, please wake up. What happened? Nobody was there. In fact, every nurse and doctors were nowhere absolutely even to be seen. Nowhere. So the best thing I did is, because I know that this was a matter that required the media, I took my phone and called Nation Media. KTN. I called Standard Media. And thank God that they responded on time and came and saw what we had seen. And from that time, we started now organizing and arranging on how we can be able to. I reported actually the matter to the OCS in Kabete, who escalated the matter to the area because that area falls under Kangemi police station, and the police came in. You can imagine, while the crowds were coming in, I informed my family and where I stay, and everyone came running because you know what, my daughter was healthy. She was very strong, healthy, and she would come at where I stay every day, so everyone knew her, including my relatives and family members. So that place was packed in a few minutes. Just within a short time, it was packed. And the disturbing thing is that even at the time when people came and they were agitated, I stood up because I'm a chaplain, I would actually go, and the police would not calm the crowds. They would actually come back to me and tell me, Babu, you are the only person who can calm these people down, because they wanted to cause a lot of trouble to that facility. But I would actually stand there and tell them that we have a country that has the rule of law. And if this matter has happened or has taken place, it requires investigations. And investigations cannot be done if your people decide to destroy this facility.
Okay.
Yes.
We're going to come back just in a little bit to then what happened with the police and all of this, because I mean, clearly it was horrific.
Thank you.
Alex, obviously a very, very difficult experience. Where were you this whole time from morning until, because from what Dad says, from 5 a.m. when she went into labor until 5:30 in the evening when she went into 5 o'clock in the evening when she went into the ward for surgery. Where were you and what was happening with you at that time?
So first of all, before I answer that question, I want that hospital to know what they took from me. They took my strength, my best friend, the love of my life, because if you knew from where we came from, it's so fucking fucked up. So as from that day, Tuesday, 5 a.m. in the morning, we reached around there 5:15, 5:20 at the hospital.
In the morning?
Yeah, in the morning. So when we arrived, we we were admitted, and then Faith was taken to be checked with the nurses about her openings. So she was 4 centimeters open at that time.
Yeah.
You see?
Mm-hmm.
So from then, they told us to continue stretching so that it could reach the 10 centimeters. So we complied. We continued walking. So we walked, and then I was going at work
Mm-hmm.
at that time at 10. So I left my cousin in charge of everything because I never had the strength to leave her alone. See? So when I left her, when it reached around 12, my wife called me, my late wife called me, and she told me she was 6 centimeters.
Mm-hmm.
With my joy and happiness, I even left work and went back to the hospital. On arriving at the hospital, we met with Rachel, who is my cousin, and she told me to go for something sweet, Fanta orange. The doctor said Fanta orange, so that she could drink, I don't know for what. So she drank it, and then after a while, I left again because I was told the clothes were not enough. So I rushed at our house, and when I arrived there, after packing, my cousin again called me and told me that I should rush back because Faith is about to deliver. So on arriving, that's when, as my dad said, my mom was crying when arriving at that time. My mom was crying, and I asked myself, what's happening? And then Rachel told me it's theater. She had gone to theater. She had been admitted to theater. So me, I knew this is not a bad thing. It's not something to be worried about. Because, first of all, at that hospital, before we chose that hospital, before we chose it, we benchmarked it for like 2 days. Me with her, and her with her mother. You see? And they assured us they had everything. Because the nurse told us, if it's normal, it's normal. If it's theater, but we are good. So, me and you, the theater was not that serious because, yes, she'll be in pain, like any, will be nursing her wounds. So me, I calmed down because I knew everything would end. So after a while, the doctor, then a certain mother came and told us, because my mom was so deeply crushed, she was crying before even the theater started. The operation started. She was crying. So the nurse told her, we mama, unalia kuja kwanza, uone mtoto, roho itulie.
So why was she crying at that time?
You know, my certain sister had been rushed before they had a certain issue. My sister never had a normal one, so she went to CS. So I guess that thing hit her. So that's why she was crying. She doesn't like CS. In short, she doesn't. So when the lady told us to come, our mothers went in first, my mother and the mother to Faith. They went in first, they checked the baby, and then they came out smiling. Then it was our turn. We went, and so the baby was okay. And then they told us to go out so that the operation could continue.
Okay. I have to come back in a bit. But at that time, was Faith alive?
At that time, when they gave us the baby, we don't know.
We don't know.
Because they had locked themselves inside, you see?
Okay.
So as we knew, they are just stitching up the wound. So after a while, we started getting worried. We were wondering, is it supposed to take that long? So I Clinton, my brother-in-law, and Rachel, the lady who was checking Faith, we went to the nursery and found there wasn't even anyone attending to the boy because he's supposed to feed when being born. He's supposed to have something. So there was no nurse there. So we decided, let's stay ourselves there. So we stayed, and when we were there, we could hear movement there inside. You see, the theater is just opposite to the nursery. They're just like neighbors. So we could hear what's going on there. So we had movement. Then when it reached a certain point, I don't know if it's the heartbeat checker or what's the heartbeat checker. Everything just went silent in there. So us, we knew this is a good thing because the operation is over. So we waited. They never opened the door so that we could see her. They never opened. After a while, Rachel went outside for a kikoi because it was cold.
Yeah.
A kikoi to cover herself. Reaching there outside, I don't know what she had. Then she came to Clinton, the brother-in-law to Faith. I heard her saying, Kuja.
Clinton is now Faith's brother.
Yeah.
Okay.
She called him Kuja. I was left there with the baby. So after like even seconds, I started hearing screams outside of crying screams. Ama sijui nitasemaje. So I rushed outside because I was concerned what's going on. I rushed outside, and that's when I met my two mothers down. They never had even the strength to stand. They were crying, deeply crying. Then I wondered what they had been told. So I went to their two sisters. There were two sisters. I went to the two sisters and asked them, Nini inaendelea? What's going on? They never answered. They only said, tunaongojea baba Faith. That's when my imagination started kicking in. Hey, Nikona, this is not something good. So I never wanted to act out as the parents. So I just chilled. I chilled and waited for him. And he came. We told them, Doomsday, nini inaendelea. Then they told us, tutaambilia hapa, tuendeni in a certain room, so that they could tell us. When we reached there, the anger had started kicking in. When we reached there, we met the two doctors and then the sisters, the two sisters. So, the two doctors, first of all, one of them, I remember him very well. I can't forget him. One of them told us, kaini chini, siongeangi na watu wako na hasira. For real.
He said this to you?
Yeah?
He said this to you?
Yeah, he said this to us. We were many. Kaini chini, siongeangi na watu wako na hasira. I even wondered, you want me to sit down, uniambie kitu fulani na fulani, and we had waited for all that time to tell us, sasa hiyo unatuambia tukae chini. Tukaambia tukae, we are not sitting down. So after telling them that, as Dad said, they said they tried their best, but there were some complications. I asked them which complications. They never answered. So after that, I ran to the theater, and that's when I found my wife there. Not even, you see, you should give respect, Bana. They had not even covered the body, you see. The way the body was left, mwili, blood was all over. I even asked some people who went for CS, damu inatokeanga kwa mdomo. And they told me, kitu kai ifai kufanyika. Because what should happen is that you're paralyzed halfway. So that's when we saw blood all over on the walls. And when I rushed out again to ask the doctors what happened, they had vanished. Imagine.
What does that mean?
They had ran away. What?
To where?
I never saw them. I don't know where they went. Imagine.
Where did they go, Dad?
I don't know. Those guys just disappeared. And
the two doctors and the sisters, or who?
The whole hospital. We couldn't trace anyone. We were only seeing the sisters. You could not even see a nurse or a doctor, because the only people you are seeing are people who are wearing, like, the sisters, the way they dress.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the people who are dressing. Actually, and they are not even addressing us. They are just standing like this, watching us.
So they left. So you're inside the theater.
Yes.
You and your son-in-law.
Yes.
Your daughter is naked on the table.
On the table.
Who covered her?
Actually, one guy came. After some time, he came and covered her.
This is after you had made an issue of it, yeah.
Yes, one guy came and covered her,
But the doctors who earlier waliwaambia atuongee na watu wako na hasira, you never saw them again.
We never saw them again until now, until today.
Do you know their names? The names of these doctors?
I don't. One thing, Kwanza, let me tell you one thing I forgot. You see, when they said she's supposed to go to the theater, I guess it should start within 20 minutes. It should take 20 minutes to prepare. For them, they took like an hour. Then I saw this guy. I don't know where he came from. He was not in the hospital. He came running inside. He never even introduced himself, saying, I'm so and so, Minda, naenda kushughulikia your wife. He just rushed. Ndio maana that man, that old man, niwacha nimwite hivyo because I don't know him. That old man, mimi sijui venye akijua venye amenifanyia. Now I'm left with a small baby who saw her mother for some minutes.
No, he didn't. He didn't, because I doubt even if the baby saw the mother.
So what they said is that they only showed her the baby.
Okay.
Then she smiled.
Oh.
Then
so she was alive when her baby was born.
Yeah, she was alive.
She was alive.
Because I was told she was given the baby. She smiled, and then kidogo they took her to the nursery.
So who told you this? Who told you that she held the baby and smiled? Who said this to you?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Okay.
Someone told me that.
That's fine. Now, on this consent form, which is procedural in medical facilities, the names of the individuals performing the procedure should be on the form. Rachel signed the form?
Yeah, sure.
What was the name of the medical practitioner on that form? Do we know?
So far, even I haven't asked about that because they are running away. You can't even talk to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, sorry, it's important, that information to have, and they should have given you a copy of this form, did they? Do you have a copy of the form?
No.
That's another problem.
Yes.
Okay.
They didn't
so we
give
have
us.
a couple of problems here.
Yes.
That this form is in triplicate. I know because I've done it before.
Okay.
This form is in triplicate. One form is yours.
Yes.
Another form is if there is insurance. That form belongs to them.
Yes.
And the other form remains with the hospital.
The hospital.
Okay?
Yeah.
So you should have been given a form. Whether it was Rachel who signed that form or not, she should have received that form.
Yes.
And the
As a
name,
copy.
as a copy, the name of the person doing the procedure
Yes.
is supposed to be there.
Yes.
And then you sign for the patient or as the patient. Okay? So that is one thing you must know. If they didn't give you a form, we have a problem. All right?
Yeah.
Now, after this happened, because it's a horrific thing, and I can't imagine what the two mothers are here, fathers, husband, sisters, and it seems like you were all very close-knit family.
Yeah.
What did the police then say they were going to do after that? Because you did call them.
The police said that they are going to, first of all, we have to do a post-mortem. Because when we left the place, we were given a letter. And then And then, because it's a matter that was under investigation, the police asked us to take the body to city mortuary. But we opted not because of the love we had for this girl. And we said that the best place we could actually decide to take her is Chiromo. So we took her to Chiromo mortuary. And at that point, it was after midnight. So, yeah, it was after midnight, around 1 a.m. Because this whole matter took from between that time 6:37 to almost 1 a.m. in the night.
Next morning, actually.
Yes, still at the hospital. So by the time we are leaving the hospital, we went and took the body to Chiromo. And they told us that the post-mortem will be done on Thursday. So on Thursday, the police were there, the doctor, the pathologist, the representative of the hospital, and us as the family. And after the post-mortem report, the doctor said that, told us that it is very unfortunate our daughter died of lack of oxygen to the brain. So that connected why they were all rushing hurriedly to
Look for this machine.
Yeah, so she died of lack of oxygen to the brain. And number two, they also figured out an issue to do with anesthesia. Anesthesia, something to do with anesthesia. I don't know whether there was a problem. And in fact, he insisted, he said, the whole entire problem is not to do with the surgeon, probably to do with the anesthesia. So I actually, to repeat, because while at the hospital, I had actually requested for that form that you are talking about. But a lady there who is an admin, I don't know if she's a nun or what, said that they will not be able to share that that document. They can't share it. So if it's a matter of fact, they discharged us from the hospital, probably released us without any documentation whatsoever, even just revealing or indicating that this is the doctor who performed the surgery. This is the anesthetic person. This is the scrap nurse. This is the vitals. And if in case there was any record of any problem procedurally, because if there is somebody who was supposed to be asked, the medical record of Faith, it is me. She has not stayed with the husband for a long time. No, it's me. But these guys never. And I was even wondering, how can they now decide to look for me when my daughter is dead, but at the time when she was alive, nobody looked for me. Okay? Nobody looked for me. So the pathologist said that because of lack of oxygen, there was accumulation of water in the lungs. And also excessive bleeding. Yeah? Excessive bleeding. Those three factors caused the death of this girl, because she was also, the brain swell because of lack of oxygen. So they said that probably watachukua zile samples ambazo wametoa, watapeleka kwa government chemists, and then they can be able to issue the report from the DCI, because the DCI have to combine both the analysis they find from the government chemist and what the pathologist saw. Then they can be able to begin the process.
Yes.
You know, for Faith Bin Zali, the father was just showing me a video of her. That's her last video when she was alive.
Last video. Yeah.
That was in the hospital.
Yes.
And I'm seeing the video of her walking, pacing up and down. I think as they were waiting now to go for the delivery. I just can't begin to imagine the depth of pain you're going through as a father. And I don't even have the right words to take away that pain. And, you know, for Alex, I mean, you're still young. Your grief is valid. Your anger is valid. Your right to question is valid. It's okay to feel everything you're feeling right now. I just hope and pray that God will grant you the grace to bear this unimaginable pain. We'll keep pursuing this story. We'll keep following to hear what happens, and that Faith Bin Zali gets the justice, though she's not with us.
Yes.
And for St. Joseph, the Waka Hospital Center, it's incomprehensible that this can happen in a facility where a family has come to entrust you with their child to bring forth a child into this world, and you abandon her. I've just seen the pictures from the father's phone. It's just heartbreaking.
It's unfathomable to imagine what this is all about. That this should happen, that so many things, a situation, Alex, that would have caused you so much joy in your young wife, and for you, your young daughter, your first grandchild, but then having to look at the glaring incompetencies that we've had to deal with because of this, and that people ran away means that they know they've done something wrong.
Yes.
The truth will come out. Doesn't matter how long it takes, the truth will come out, and somebody will have to pay.
Yes.
And like we said, we'll keep following this story. It is not just a story, it's an experience and it's a reality. We'll keep following it. We wish you the grace and the comfort that you need, not just in this time, but for all times. And it is our desire that she, as Faith, will rest in peace. Obviously taken before her time, but we pray for grace for you and the whole family. And over and above that, we pray and we seek justice. And so we'll keep following it. But we want to thank you for being here in the room with us this morning. Not a story you want to tell, but one that we have to if we want things to get better.
Yes.
We want to thank you both for being here this morning, and we will definitely keep in touch and keep following. Asante sana, and God bless you.
Amen. Thank you.
Good morning. It's 10:03.
More of the classics and the hits you love. Spice.
You played the best music.
94.4. You're listening to Spice FM.